TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D. Wood. And with me now is the Apostate Prophet, who, for once, is not at fault for this being late. It was just so many video clips that I was sending over. And then, anyway, finally got them all transferred over, but it was taking way longer than I thought. Always technical problems when you're dealing with D. Wood. Hey, AP.
Hey, what?
Have you seen all these people? They're like a bunch of weirdos celebrating the death of Hassan Nasrallah. And
I see. Yeah, it's very tragic considering that we have just lost an individual, a human, who did nothing wrong except just try to, kill thousands of people, and also he did kill thousands of people in the past.
Yeah, that's true.
But just because of that, there are people celebrating this, and this is just, I don't know.
Yeah, and you might think, oh, it makes sense for Israelis or something like that to celebrate the death of a guy who's been sending rockets at them for a long, long time, who's been the leader of Hezbollah for over 30 years. I think it was 1992 that he took over after the previous leader was assassinated.
Correct.
And it's not just Israelis, though, AP. It's weird. You've got Christians who are really happy. You have tons and tons of Sunni Muslims. Tons and tons of Sunni Muslims. And the Sunni reaction is actually splitting and even leading to more Dawa wars. Can you imagine that? It's always the Dawa wars. Have you seen this? Have you seen you've got what Dawa wars have you seen?
Yes, I see just that certain people, like one of our very good friends, Mohammed Hijab, whom we always whom we like very much, who has contributed a lot to our work and all that. He has been antagonizing the Shia Muslims and the Hezbollah fans and others, and basically condemning Hezbollah and Nasrallah. While also saying, of course it's bad. Yeah, it's bad that they kill them, but we will never forget. We will never forget Nasrallah and Hezbollah. And he's one of those who are not even going very extreme with the dissension there, but who are just a little bit adding the other side of it. And you can immediately see when it comes to Hezbollah and Nasrallah, there is an infighting that starts among the Muslims.
Yes, and we will be checking out the Dawa wars that are currently being waged over their reaction to the assassination of Nasrallah. But first, AP, we did want to give everyone an update on the emotional state of Sister Marwa here.
I can tell you that it's out of control.
Marwa, so sorry to interrupt. We do now have official confirmation from the Hezbollah group of the death of Hassan Nasrallah. What's your response, please? I'm so sorry. Let's end the interview there. We were talking to Marwa Osman, journalist and TV show host, clearly visible of Hassan Nasrallah. What's your response, please? I'm so sorry. Let's end the interview there. We were talking to Marwa Osman, journalist and TV show host, clearly visibly shaken by the breaking news we're bringing you right now.
She was visibly shaken, which is why, if you're originally seeing that, you're like, oh my goodness, this poor lady, why is she crying? I mean, is this like her uncle, or is that Nasrallah dude her uncle and she's all broken up over that? You don't want to make fun, even if even if someone killed Osama bin Laden and his daughter was crying, you wouldn't want to make fun of his daughter or something like that. So who is she? Why would she be crying? Anyway, Then yesterday, AP, you pulled up some of her old tweets from October 7th, and of course she become completely unhinged today. She has completely lost it. But anyway, these are some of the ones you checked out after the October 7th attacks. Once news was breaking. So these are some of her tweets. She posted lots of things in multiple languages and so on. But you can see this from October 7th. She says, Gaza is bringing a new epic battle to light. Reports of resistance entering Zionist settlements. We have seen so many videos, but we'll share none. The safety of the fighters is a priority. So this is when these guys were like live streaming and so on, and then they're all spreading clips. And Mia Khalifa was messaging out, hey, turn your cameras sideways so I can see more. And they were getting clips of these guys just going around murdering people. And this is what she's tweeting. Oh, so many clips, but the safety of the fighters, that's a priority. So she didn't want to share clips of the massacres because, these guys are going to, their work was still ongoing in slaughtering people. So you don't want to give people information on their location and so on. And she posted, of course, excitement level 9,000. Excitement level 9,000. So that's how she was reacting to the October 7th massacre. But then AP, she's becoming Twitter famous, or X famous, I guess now. And everyone's sharing. And so Avi Yemeni there down at the bottom, he said, there's nothing more satisfying than watching a jihadi journalist who celebrated October 7th cry over Israel's masterful work. So they're sharing the same clip that so many people have been watching. But then she responded, October 7th is the most glorious day in living memory for all the Levantine natives. We cry for our martyrs, but we then continue the path they planned for us towards liberation from the vile of the earth, Zionist baby killers. Avi, run. The Qatar 1 is headed your way. So this is her. You might have think, oh, she didn't know what was going on October 7th. Maybe she just didn't know back then because information was limited. It was breaking. She's had a year now to understand what happened, and she says it's the most glorious day in living memory for certain people.
Well, I mean, she probably is not talking about all of the brutal killings and all of the brutal, going from house to house and shooting people on site and executing families point blank, setting homes on fire with people inside them, tying people up and then setting them on fire. Stopping civilian vehicles and shooting inside, killing everyone, shooting at the police, taking hostages with them to Gaza and raping them, mutilating others. And she's probably not talking about that aspect of October 7th. She's probably just talking about the whole freedom fighting aspect of it.
Yeah, something like that, because it's all about freedom fighting. You know what I'm saying? It's freedom fighting. All right, guys. So we are going to go through a bunch of stuff. Again, that's why there was a lot of files. That's why it was taking a while to transfer. But we're going to look at a couple of clips from a Piers Morgan program where, what's that girl's name? You saw her. I pulled her up. I'm not familiar with her before.
Elika Lebon.
Okay, and there is, even though it was from a few days ago before Nasrallah was assassinated, she gave a really, really good rapid fire breakdown of the situation, what led up to the situation with Hezbollah. So we're gonna check that out. Then we're gonna check out a Newsweek article. We're gonna read a little bit of a Newsweek article that gives the background and explains why there are actual people in the Arab world, and especially Syrians and Lebanese and so on, who are celebrating the assassination. We'll see a couple video clips of that as well. We'll eventually get into the Dawa wars, but first, AP.
Yes.
First, according to the Ayatollah Khomeini, we are on the second day of 4 days of mourning. There's 4 days left of mourning for Hassan Nasrallah, So, I mean, we have a show to do. The work doesn't stop because we're mourning. You still have to keep it. You still have to keep it up. But we are going to have a 30-second moment of silence, and that's going to be our mourning for the day. Okay, ready? All right, I'm going to start now. 30 seconds. 30 seconds, everyone. 30 seconds of mourning. Alhamdulillah, we're done. All right, that's our morning for today.
All right, wonderful.
Okay,
I'm glad we got that out of the way. That was painful.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible.
That was the worst thing ever.
That was pretty much the worst thing ever. All right, so we're going to check out let's check a couple super chats real quick, and then we'll jump into this Piers Morgan clip. Let's see. Do you reckon Lebanese Hitler is dead, or did he actually find some refuge in Argentina? I think dead.
I think that it's pretty clear that he probably fled to Argentina on a boat, disguised himself as a completely different person. Will probably turn up, I don't know, 50 years later in Argentina or something, just like Hitler.
Ghazi Naeem, thank you. W says, my professor said there's no primary sources for the existence of Jesus. Is this true? I don't know what your professor means by primary sources, but you have a bunch of first century sources. You have Christian and Jewish and Roman sources that all refer to Jesus. And most significantly, you have the Apostle Paul, who knew the apostles. So Paul knew the people. He knew Jesus' brother. And so if you're talking about Jesus' existence, yeah, I mean, you don't even have to give him a Christian perspective. Just share with him the clip of Bart Ehrman responding to Jesus' mythicism. He thinks it's
pretty. That's your professor saying that?
Yeah.
Professor? What kind of professor is that?
He's my professor of German.
It's a Professor Saidi. I don't know what a Professor Saidi is, but yeah.
Saudi Arabia and Sunnis celebrating Nasrallah's death. Yeah, we're gonna see some stuff.
There is a lot of people in the Middle East are celebrating Nasrallah's death. Aside from them being on the other side of the current conflict against Israel, throughout the Middle East, in Gulf countries and in other related Arab nations, people really hate Hezbollah. People don't like Hezbollah. People hate that organization. People hate Iran together with Hezbollah. So Hezbollah dying to them is a good thing, despite the fact that it's Israel doing it.
And this is a good opportunity for people to learn why, for people to learn a little bit more about what's going on over there, because there's a reason they hate this. So, even though you've had Sunnis and Shias against each other for a very, very long time, and so there would always be suspicion. There would always be a high level of suspicion, even if they had a common enemy like the Jews or something like that. That changed quite a bit with the Syrian civil war, where Hezbollah was helping kill Sunnis. So people who, didn't have a favorable view of Shias in general had a really, really, really negative view of Nasrallah for helping kill so many Sunni Muslims. And so they do not like him. They do not. They really, really do not like him.
They do not.
Now you have a man after AP's own heart. Primus here says, her crying always gives me life. Hey, if you wanted to do that, AP, show like a barren desert, and then play her, and then when she starts crying, then show like flowers springing up. Do that. That kind of giving life with tears. That's
I just posted on my Twitter the last thing that I posted. I turned her the moment where it turns to her and she starts crying, going like this. I turned it into a GIF and posted it.
That's going to be a classic GIF.
It's quite popular now.
That one Jewish girl says they better not kill my boo Abu Ubaidah. They won't. It shall never happen. Watch. Sheikh Mike Wingelings, you kuffar, say Daily Wire is psycho, but AP is the one who can't stop laughing at women crying. Another attempt at deceiving the Ummah. I say, I was saying that right before the show. I was like, AP, you're the real psycho here. People talking about me. I learned to control myself. Character. Oh, that's a super sticker. Thank you, Moo Joe. And from Muhammad Hijab, part-time stripper, Dr. Wood, would you please explain the ontological argument for us shirtless non-philosophers? Not right here. Ontological. There's a reason certain arguments aren't nearly as popular as other arguments, like the design argument or the cosmological argument, the moral argument. Those are the design argument, the cosmological argument. Those are really, really easy to understand. As soon as it's pointed out to you, you're like, oh, okay, I get the argument, whether you agree with it or not. Moral argument, slightly more difficult than the cosmological or design argument, but still pretty easy to grasp. And then you get into certain other arguments, and they're really, 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 they can be really difficult to understand. And it seems like there are word games going on. But the plus side is some philosophers think it's like the strongest argument in terms of like it would prove a greatest conceivable being type deal. But there are variations of it. The ontological arguments are usually related to we have a concept of God, but the concept of God is completely different from all other concepts. And so the classic example is Anselm. Anselm, he said, our concept of God is the concept of a being than which a greater cannot be conceived. And so, but he points out, if you have a concept of a being than which a greater cannot be conceived, then you only have a concept of that being as existing. Because if you had a concept of a being that's that great but didn't exist, that wouldn't really be that really wouldn't be. So the idea of various versions of the ontological argument is that there's something completely unique about the concept of God, and their explanation is that because it's a necessarily existing being, and that's why the concept is so different. Anyway, if you ever want to discuss that, I could get someone on there. Plantinga has a completely different version of the ontological argument based on the concept of a maximally great being. But we have a topic, and it would be a lot to go into something like that right now. And one final super chat here, and then we'll jump into the clip. It has been a good week. Thank you, D. Wood and AP. Good week? How can you say that when we're in a period of mourning? Disgusting.
What if a terrorist stumbled upon this stream here and saw you calling this a good week? Can you imagine how they would feel?
Yeah, Albano. Why don't you think about other people? Think about the woman in that video. Matter of fact, one more time, just to show you how heartless you are. You're calling this a good week?
I tell you that it's out of control.
Marwa, so sorry to interrupt. We do now have official confirmation from the Hezbollah group of the death of Hassan Nasrallah. What's your response, please?
What's wrong with you, man?
I'm so sorry.
You and Albano here.
Let's end the interview there. We were talking to Marwa Osman, journalist and TV show.
You guys are cold-blooded. What's wrong with you guys, man?
It's so dumb. I watched it dozens of times by now, and it still makes me laugh every single time.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You remind me of Beetlejuice saying he watched The Exorcist hundreds of times, and it keeps getting funnier every time he sees it. You are weird. All right, so we're gonna have
condemn the war crimes.
We're gonna have this clip. We're just watching a couple minutes of this episode. This is from a few days ago. Piers Morgan, he had on several guests, and hey, that's LaFleur in the middle. That's your buddy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Fleur.
Yeah, that's Fleur, and then two anti-Israel guys, and then so the background is, as always, Piers says, do you condemn this? Do you condemn this? And this guy said, yes, I condemn everything, but of course, mainly Israel. And then he asks the pro-Israel women if they will condemn Israel for what it has done. And she launches into a response here. This is just kind of introduction, because then we want to get to what she's saying about about Hezbollah.
I condemn the war crimes. I condemn Hezbollah launching rockets. That's a war crime. Mm-hmm. I condemn Hamas launching rockets. That's a war crime. Do my panelists condemn the occupation, Israel's killing of civilians, and the war crimes it is committing in Gaza and in Lebanon.
Who is this guy?
Some dude.
Some dude.
You really want me to look it up? Because I can look it up.
I don't know.
Oh, wait. I can tell you right now. What?
By the way, shout out to Fleur there in the middle, the left one of the two women. She's fantastic, wonderful person. Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem.
So the name is Fleur, right?
Yeah.
Fleur. I keep saying
Fleur.
LaFleur because that was the guy's name in Dodgeball. He kept saying LaFleur.
Her name is Fleur Hassan Nahum. She is of Sephardic and Arab origin or something. Yeah.
Okay, so the panel here, we're not even watching. We're only watching. What'd you say her name is? Elika?
Yeah, Elika. Not
And
Elika.
let's see. So, pro-Palestinian activist Aaron Matei, special envoy for the foreign minister. Okay, that's Fleur, and pro-Palestine commentator Wajahat Ali. I'm not sure which one. I'm not sure
That's
which one that
Wajahat
guy's. Okay.
That's Wajahat Ali. I remember. Yeah.
All right. Everyone, get ready, cause this lady spits hot fire.
Okay.
To the panel.
Well, let me ask Elika Lebon. Do you
anyone else?
condemn that?
I condemn everything that has been caused by the jihadists, and this is not my opinion. This is based on causal reasoning. You kidnap people and you take them to a different place. What other option does a sovereign nation have but to return its citizens? What else? There's only two options here, right? You either release the hostages or they have to come and be rescued. So the fact that Hamas has stubbornly refused to return these hostages means that Israel has no other choice. And so what you're looking at here is Hamas persistently putting the Palestinian people in a position to be slaughtered in this way. And you know what else that's so much worse than that? When people keep coming up with these numbers, 41,000 people killed. Why? Why are 41,000 people killed? Okay. Why is it not that 41,000 people in Israel have been killed despite all of these attacks? Because Israel invests in protecting its citizens. What does Hamas do? Hamas starts a war and then hides in its terror tunnels, okay, and leaves its civilians, its children vulnerable above the ground to be exploded like cowards hiding in tunnels. So, yeah.
Agree so far?
She's killed
Cowards.
I can see it in Fleur's face. She's
Yeah,
very-
Flora's like, that's my girl. You said she's a lawyer?
Yeah, Elika, she's an attorney.
Attorney. Yeah, British Iranian attorney. Man, she would be brutal in court, firing off like that.
She went viral. I think she wasn't very. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but after October 7, she started publishing videos on X and other platforms where she was basically cutting through the BS and talking straight. And in a very sharp way, great points about the conflict, and she started exploding in popularity since then. I remember that she had probably like the quarter of the number of followers that she has now. That was really so that's how she started blowing up.
And we'll see more why she's been blowing up right now.
I agree 41,000 is an awful number. First of all, we haven't separated the combatants, but we know that children have been killed, and the children have been killed because of Hamas. Everybody that is being killed is because of jihadists, and there is not one fact. There is not one fact that you can make that doesn't start with the jihadists. And when the jihadists bury themselves wherever they are, whether they're in Lebanon, whether they're in Gaza, whether they're in Iran, whether they're in Syria, they are making the people of that nation, the people they are burying themselves amongst, vulnerable to being killed in this way. So yes, I absolutely condemn those deaths, and I absolutely blame the jihadists for that. And first of all,
it is. I mean, it's such a simple point that so few people on the free Palestine side seem to they just don't get. They don't get it, no matter how clear and obvious it is, or they just don't care. But that, okay, you killed a bunch of people and took a bunch of hostages, and then you ran and hid amongst the population, under the population, with in side by side in the same place with civilians and so on, and you're firing rockets from civilian areas, from schools and so on. You're putting your bases around places of worship and so on, and what is Israel supposed to do? Are they supposed to go get their people or not? You're not giving them back, therefore they have to go get them, but it's going to be bloody because you're hiding amongst civilians. So who's at fault for those civilians hiding? Is it Israel, who would have an obligation to go get their people back and to find the people who killed their people? You have an obligation as an army, as a military, to go do something like that. So are they the ones to blame for doing what is necessary for their people, or is Hamas to blame for being the ones that are saying, hey, come kill us here amongst all these civilians? And what's crazy is you just don't see Hamas being condemned for that. It would be one thing if you said, yeah, we got a problem with the Jews, but our main problem is with Hamas for doing this stuff and then running and hiding amongst civilians. That would be one thing. You could that could be a sane position, but they won't. It's just shame on the Jews for going and getting their people back.
Yeah, I see his responses on October 7th, for example. This guy, Wajad Ali, what he does. He did not support entirely what Hamas did, and he did point out, arguing with others, that they have been committing war crimes and some of the things that they have done are horrific. And he also does say, and I have to give him credit there, among very, very few people on his side, he did say that this is not how you should respond to Israel, and Hamas needs to be condemned as a terrorist organization for this kind of stuff. However, he didn't really initially condemn what was happening until much later in the day, long after he started blasting Israel instead, and basically both siding the issue. Like, yes, we have to condemn what Hamas does, and we have to condemn the Israeli occupation, which does these things every day, which is a lie. It is a sneaky, deceitful, snakish lie. Israel does not do any of these things every day to the Palestinian Arab population. Had they been doing these things, the situation would be much, much worse. They do not go from house to house, killing innocent civilians, setting homes on fire, raping people, tying them up and setting them on fire, punishing them, mutilating them, putting them into the streets after raping them and burning their bodies, and so on. This is certainly not something that Israel does or has ever done. This is something that Hamas does, and after even making any excuses or equating their horrible crimes to anything that Israel does, you should be in no place anymore to talk about this.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Did you not see that woman crying in that earlier clip?
I'm sorry. I'll take it back. Yeah.
All right.
Go back to this claim that Hezbollah never started this war. From the 8th of October, started launching, by this point, over 11,000 rockets into Israel. 96,000 people in northern Israel have been displaced. 10% of Israel's landmass has been depopulated, 11 months deep. What is it exactly that you expect Israel to do? At this point, civilians are out of their homes, children are out of their schools. What do you expect Israel to do in the final instance where there is a precision strike on Hezbollah terrorists, Hezbollah terrorists. The world wants to claim that this is an international war crime. Like, what should Israel do? Just bend over and keep accepting it? None of these things are acceptable to you people. Targeted strikes, unacceptable. Pages, unacceptable. What is acceptable to stop these terrorists from persistently and belligerently attacking Israel?
She referred to, she cited 11,000 rockets fired from Hezbollah since October 8th. So 11. I've seen other people say almost 10, like Fleur. She said almost 10,000 or something like that. I saw Piers, I think, say 19,000, and if I heard him correctly. And so, but anyway, you're talking thousands and thousands of rockets fired by Hezbollah over the past year. Rockets. And then Israel responds by blowing up some pagers and everyone loses their minds. That's terrorism. I'm saying that because the pro-Palestinian guys on the panel, they were really, really complaining about that, saying it's terrorism. You don't know where that pager's going to be. You don't know what that pager's going to be. It could be in a child's hand in a supermarket and stuff. They were saying all that stuff. And it's like, it's what she was just like, what can Israel do? Like, they just have, according to you, they just have to sit here and be bombed to nothing. That's what they need to, that's the only thing they're allowed to do. Because any sort of response, if they bomb a place, if they go hunt someone down, if they take out a leader, if they blow up some pagers, none of it is acceptable. All of it is horrible war crimes and genocide. And it's just, anyway, weird situation.
To make the claim, first of all,
Wait, do you have some?
Oh, go continue.
Or can we listen to her?
Yeah, continue.
Claim that they are doing this on behalf of the Palestinians is absolutely outrageous. You want to say that, oh, we're fighting for the Palestinians because of the occupation in this oppressive military state. What about Hezbollah's oppressive military state? What about Hezbollah's state within a state that has undermined Lebanon's sovereignty? What about the fact that Hezbollah goes to Syria and massacres people on behalf of Assad? What about the fact that Hezbollah goes to Iran and massacres, rapes innocent Iranians? So why don't we just say that everything that Israel's doing is in behalf of the innocent Iranians, the innocent Syrians, and the innocent Lebanese?
Guys, did you catch that? Because that was like insanely brilliant, right?
That was very smart. I understand how she rose to popularity. That was very good.
Yeah, guys, if that wasn't clear, I mean, that was ridiculously brilliant. You kind of don't get it because if you didn't watch the full discussion, you didn't hear what they were saying beforehand. But she's responding to the idea, well, just in general, you've got Hezbollah and people are like, but they're freedom fighters. Why? Because they're attacking Israel. They're killing Sunnis. What are you talking about? These guys go around. These guys are like, they're puppets of Iran for establishing a Shia regime. And they've just taken over part of the country. And they're going around and they can be like muscle for a leader of a neighboring country. Hey, bring in these guys to come kill all these guys who are rebelling and so on. And they're massive. They're a massively oppressive regime. They'll kill people in a heartbeat. And she's saying, if you're just going to look past all that and say, oh, but they're doing it all for the sake of the people they want to liberate. She said, well, if you're complaining about Israel, why don't you say Israel's doing it for the sake of everyone they're liberating? Why don't you do that? You're in other words, you're saying, look at Israel, look what they're doing. They're bombing stuff. That's what Hezbollah does. Why is it okay? Why is it okay over there? Why is it okay with it? Because they're freedom fighters. They're liberating people. One, they're not liberating anyone. Who are they liberating? No one. They're protecting the Assad regime and things like that. They're doing stuff like that, but they're killing tons of Sunnis. They'll kill Christians in a heartbeat if the Christians get out of line. This is all the stuff they'll do. They're horribly oppressive. So why do you say, oh, they're freedom fighters when they do all this stuff you complain about? It's almost like there's no concept of consistency here.
Exactly. She is pointing out in the best way possible, in the best way that I've seen, the hypocrisy here and how conveniently they like to twist things in order to somehow make organizations like Hezbollah or people like Nasrallah untouchable. Right? They try to protect them with all of these excuses of how Hezbollah is just fighting because they want Israel to stop fighting in Gaza. What a stupid excuse. Hezbollah jumped in with Hamas on October 8th. When Israel didn't do anything yet in response to Hamas. They jumped in together with Hamas on October 8th. It is their stated goal to destroy Israel. And to destroy America too, by the way, which is a delusional idea. And of course, there is no such threat. But that aside, it is their actual goal to destroy Israel. This is very, very clearly stated. Together with Iran, they have such a goal. They are together with Iran. They are an Iranian extension in terms of military. They get their supplies and their training and much of their status from Iran, which is how they also have so much power, and so much authority in Lebanon. But they are a group that is oppressive. They do oppress Lebanese people. They oppress non-Shia people. They oppress people in Syria. They oppressed people in other countries. They have conducted terrorist attacks in multiple different countries. And yeah, let's not even talk about Iran. This is good. I keep looking at Fleur's face because she's very proud of her, and she's just, yes, keep going.
Fleur was crushing it too. Fleur is an awesome communicator as well.
She is.
But yeah, I was focusing mainly on Elika because she focuses quite a bit on the Lebanese issue. You have Justin Wooten. Here's David Wood literally shilling for jihadi terrorists in Syria. I am not on the side of the jihadi terrorists. I mean, you had ISIS trying to take over. Syria. If I have to choose between ISIS and Assad, I'd take Assad in a freaking heartbeat. I might take Assad more than any of the Sunnis who are trying to take over. I'm pointing out what Hezbollah is. And as far as the regimes, this is what Islam does historically over and over again. We've talked about it a million times. Islam puts you in a position where you have no good option, and you have to try and pick the least terrible option. And you can see that in Iraq. You got Saddam. Do you want Saddam as your leader? I don't want Saddam as my leader. What happens if you get rid of Saddam? You get something worse. So yeah, Islam puts people in these horrible, 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 ridiculous, awful positions. That has nothing to do with Sunnis not liking Hezbollah for killing lots of Sunnis, right? So I don't have to be pro-Sunni. I don't have to. Yeah, I really like ISIS. I hope ISIS takes over. I don't have to be saying that to say, hey, here's the reason lots of Sunnis really hate these guys here.
Well, you didn't need to waste your time responding to Justin Wooten here. I just scrolled up and saw that he said, "Oh, so this chick is supporting ISIS. Then David is using ISIS talking points."
Oh yeah.
Apparently, Justin Wooten isn't smart enough. He thinks that there are two sides in the Syrian civil war. One of them is Bashar al-Assad and Hezbollah, and the other side is ISIS. I would recommend Justin here, since you don't know anything at all about the world, to check out a map of the Syrian civil war. And also to, a little bit inform yourself about the history of it. It didn't start out with ISIS against the Shia and secular government. It started with Sunni rebels who are not part of ISIS, who I would not support, but who are against ISIS and who have been fighting against ISIS. They started out rebelling against Bashar al-Assad, rightfully so. I have to say, and his Shia allies like Hezbollah, and Hezbollah has been committing atrocities in Syria. In Syria currently, ISIS is not on the other side of the fight. ISIS does still hold very small strongholds, very small parts of Syria in this current civil war, but the fight has been mainly between the so-called Free Syrian Army and the Syrian secular government. See, there he's saying AP shilling for ISIS. This guy's either a troll, just rage baiting.
He might be a troll. He might just be a dumb troll.
He doesn't care. Because I mean, if after this point, after this clarification, you still think there's ISIS there, then you might just be mentally ill. I don't know.
Yeah, and so what you have, guys, is you will end up with chaos in lots of these countries unless you just have a brutal dictator who crushes everyone. But then you'll have people rise up against the dictator, and you'll have those people saying, do we really want to be under this awful dictator? No, look how he oppresses us. Okay, let's rally and start a fight with him. And people could be sympathetic to that. Yeah, he is a horrible dictator. Yeah, people do need to rise up. What you end up with is a bunch of Sunnis and Shias killing each other, and then you end up with people who are caught in the middle, who are just trying to, okay, there's no good option here, but what is the least terrible option for us? Anyway, that's what Islam keeps doing. That's what Islam always wants to do. Put you in a situation where you have no good options. That's what they're doing. That's what they do with Israel. No good option. You either let them take your people, or you let them exterminate you, or you go in and fight, but you're gonna end up killing a lot of civilians, and they're gonna rally people around the world against you and say how evil you are. There's no good option. There's no good option. And so
what Bashar al-Assad did, look, I am all against Islamists. I am totally for a secular government instead of an Islamist government. But I have always drawn a line. I would never support China's treatment of certain ethnic Muslim groups and so on. I would not support such a thing if any other government did something like that. What happened in Syria is that the Syrian Sunni rebels they did want to rise up and overthrow Bashar al-Assad for his corruption and his dictatorship and so on. However, his response to the initial protests even was an extremely brutal one. He very, very quickly turned it into brutal, violent suppressions of directly shooting at protesters, shooting at rebels, immediately pulling the army in and causing massacres, just as the Islamic regime does in Iran. He used chemical weapons against his own population, against the rebels inside Syria. He gave a call to Putin and called Russia into the country to conduct airstrikes against the Sunni rebels and so on, when he should have taken the memo and just stepped down and moved away. But this is just the tyranny of these Shia elements in the Middle East, like Iran, Hezbollah, and also Bashar al-Assad, who is not really Shia in the best sense. He follows this weird esoteric Shia religion called Alawi. But they have this whole sentiment of, oh, we are resisting, we are just resisting, we together, we are the axis of resistance. And their resistance basically consists of indiscriminately killing everyone and trying to oppress everyone and trying to assert their own power over the entire region. This is basically what they're doing. That's not the good alternative to the Islamists.
Yeah, there is no good alternative. I mean, there are good alternatives in the world, but as far as what's there now, there's no good alternative.
Alhamdulillah.
Know why you don't say that? Because it sounds absolutely ridiculous. It is a red herring. It is a red herring to claim that Hezbollah is acting on behalf of Palestinians when what they're doing is exactly what they said in their charter, which the Islamic Republic created them for, which is to create a second Islamic Republic in Lebanon and to destroy Israel. That is their goals. It is time to be honest about that.
And so that was our first sort of monologue where she got to say a bunch of things. Then there's tons of arguing back and forth and so on. And then she broke down. Hezbollah. Yeah, she broke down. She broke down and cried. No, she broke down the history of Hezbollah. So here we go.
So the entire arguments that are being made here are based on revisionist history. That's first things first. The even way that you frame Hezbollah as the victim, as the non-aggressor, to where you frame Israel as escalating despite Hezbollah's repeated history of aggression, okay? First of all, the way you even describe Hezbollah's inception is wrong. Let's talk about Hezbollah's inception, which was after the 1979 revolution. Let me finish. After the 1979...
Let me... Keep in mind, guys, that was after multiple interruptions, and to be fair, everyone was interrupting each other and stuff like that. She's like, I want to let me finish. So. She could have even been meaner. She said, I know I'm a woman, and you think I have half a brain, but. You know.
So, some people were born to debate and discuss.
She was born to debate. I imagine that she was probably on her school debate team and was brutal, and then decided they told her, hey, you'd be an awesome lawyer. You should be a lawyer.
Iran, Hezbollah, okay, was inspired by this, and Assad visited Iran and asked Khomeini, what can we do for you? Khomeini said, give me a passage to Syria, to Lebanon, so I can export my radical ideologies over to Lebanon. They did that, and then they started killing the Shiite Muslims in the north of Lebanon while there was an invasion by Israel from the south. Why was there an invasion from the south? There was an invasion because the PLO were in southern Lebanon firing rockets into Israel after they just got expelled from Jordan because they were doing the same.
Look at this dork shaking his head over on the side. This dork on the right. He's like, no, what? What is she getting wrong here, dude?
That guy is one of those. I think
Israel bad. No, Israel bad.
He's one of those. Oh, I am totally on the side of the Islamists, and I will happily here in the West speak out. And well, please invite me on your show so I can say a few more things, but just don't make me really discuss with anybody in depth.
This dude actually derailed things from the first time he spoke. That dude all the way on the right. He's like, okay, well, let's go ahead and get this started. First of all, there were no rapes on October 7th. There was none of that. And even Pierce jumped in like, what? You're saying what now? That's
Oh,
what,
that was him saying it?
That
Okay,
was
yeah.
him. That was that dude. So yeah, that's your buddy that you think is super based.
Thing, hijacking planes, okay, landing them on revolutionary airports, blowing them up in front of international media.
Yeah, that was
Then they
Hezbollah.
go to southern Lebanon and they start destroying internal political dynamics in southern Lebanon. Now you have the Christian Maronites and the Muslims fighting each other in the first Lebanon civil war. Okay, they destroyed Lebanon from within just because of the desire to launch its rockets from Lebanon into Israel. Then it went up to Beirut and started fighting with the Christian Maronites to assert domination in Lebanon. Why? Because they are.
Look, this dork over there still shaking his head, guys. So if you don't take away anything else from this live stream, we're going to be going through a lot of stuff, a lot of videos and stuff like that. If you don't take away anything else, just get your mind. Hezbollah, Iran wanted a base. Iran wanted a support group, a support base right over there for taking over Lebanon, for conquering Israel, all that stuff. Iran needed something local. That's Hezbollah. They are the local representatives of the Iranian regime. And we have AP taking the place of that dork on the right there.
In Lebanon. Why? Because they are jihadists. And then what happens in 1978, which is the first invasion of Israel into Lebanon. Why? Because the PLO did an attack on a bus in Israel that killed 38 people. Israel goes in to try and take out the PLO. And then the UN requires them to retreat, and they retreat, and then they send their UN interim forces for Lebanon, okay, to take out the PLO. The UN runs away and the PLO comes back, continues its attack, okay? The second invasion into Lebanon.
UN says, Israel, you get out of here. We'll take care of these guys. And then they run away, and then they just come back in.
Because of the continued attacks, they go in once more. And because the PLO doesn't leave, they have to create this occupation, right? And then as soon as they removed the occupation in 2000 with Ehud Barak and Clinton, what happens is that Hezbollah advances to the border of Israel and starts attacking again. And then comes the UN.
That's exactly what happened. This is why there is a UN resolution. What is it, 1701 or something? This is exactly, which they never stuck to and violated again. This is exactly true. The guy on the right is just shaking his head again. He probably didn't learn it. It's good that she's lecturing them, honestly. She's lecturing them on the history of this issue. Everyone,
And so just to be clear, I think I have my timeline correct. So you had the PLO in southern Lebanon. In order to deal with the PLO constantly attacking and so on, then Israel took over southern Lebanon, held on to it, and then left in 2000. And then Hezbollah just swoops in and occupies that area and so on. And so something along those lines.
Yeah, it's UN Resolution 1701 for a full cessation of fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, and the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Lebanon to be replaced by Lebanese and for Lebanon to go beyond a certain line and so on, whatever. Yeah.
And here we have Elika.
Resolution 1701 requiring not only that Hezbollah stays 10 kilometers back from the northern border, okay, but also that all of these militias in Lebanon have to disband, and there can only be a militarized Lebanese government. Israel abided. Who did not abide? Hezbollah. Then what did Hezbollah do for 18 years? For 18 years in the zone that they were not allowed to be, they started expanding their military capacities up to 200,000 munitions, and then finally, on October 8th, started attacking. And then when Israel responded with that pager attack, why did they do that? Because the commanders, the leaders of Hezbollah had a plan to attack northern Galilee and do a second October 7th, kidnap hostages with a ground invasion. Now, you tell me, what should Israel do?
She's good, man. She's good.
She's a beast.
She is good. She is really good. She's really good. She has for, I don't know how long that was, but she has them all sitting there and listening to a lecture on the history of the country.
Don't interrupt me.
Very, 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 very much accurate. Absolutely accurate. I'm pretty sure that those guys surrounding her had no idea about any of this stuff. It's great that she actually knows the history of it and breaks it down in the best way, because these are important points to bring up. Hezbollah is not just there being, minding their own business and being a legitimate force in Lebanon. It is a terrorist organization that expands its authority at will, trusting that Iran will protect them and Iran will just shut down anyone who opposes, and using their power in order to suppress others inside Lebanon. They are acting like a mafia inside Lebanon, which is why Sunnis and Christians hate them. But somehow, when they are fighting Israel, they suddenly turn into these angels. Suddenly they are no longer the mafia. Suddenly they turn into angels who are just there trying to protect the country of Lebanon. That's not what they're doing. They are not abiding by any restrictions. They are militarily doing whatever they want. Plus, we have now undeniably high amounts of evidence presented by the IDF, presented by Israel, with photos and videos and everything, that aside from piling up their military power beyond whatever should be tolerated, they have also been putting missiles and all kinds of military equipment inside civilian buildings, into garages. They built civilian buildings, civilian homes, supposedly in residential villages, and used the garage of the building to put missiles in there, including to set up missiles into civilian buildings with a system where they could lift the on top of the building, where they could lift the ceiling and then start shooting from there, from a civilian building. This is what they do inside Lebanon. We have it all on footage, and these guys are supposed to be the good guys here.
That's what they do. That's what they do. So, long story short, guys, Israel's being attacked from Lebanon. They took over southern Lebanon to stop the guys who are attacking them. UN jumps in and says, "Hey, we'll get this under control. We'll get this under control. Israel, you agree to get out of here, go back to Israel." And Hezbollah will agree that they're going to stay, 10 clicks away and so on, and they're not going to be down there and so on. And so everyone says, "Okay, we accept this. We accept this deal." Israel backs out of Lebanon, goes back to Israel. Hezbollah breaks the deal over and over and over again. And then there are never any repercussions for them. Israel's just supposed to put up with it and the rockets and everything else forever. And if eventually they say, "Look, if no one's going to hold these guys accountable for what they're doing and breaking every deal that anyone ever that they ever agreed to, fine, we'll take care of it ourselves." And then, what? You're actually making them stop? How dare you? Wild stuff, man.
The funny thing is, what needs to be pointed out again is that she made that point too. I mentioned it several days ago when we were live. People are always reacting to casualties, to injured and dead people and their high number in Gaza and in Lebanon, for example. When Israel carries out a precision strike in southern Lebanon or in the Shia neighborhood of Beirut, south of Beirut, you have dozens of injured people, you have several dead and so on, and then people start complaining about how many people are dying and how many people are injured. The other side is firing at Israel all the time. Hezbollah is firing at Israel all the time. They are firing on civilian into civilian cities, into towns, into villages. They are firing unguided missiles. They're just randomly firing. Whatever hits a target is good.
Thousands of them.
Whatever kills somebody, whatever kills something is good. Whatever causes any harm or damage is good. In the end, they don't end up killing anybody, but to their own people, they report, they say, "We have struck a significant target and have crippled Israel." But the reason that you don't get high numbers of deaths from inside Israel is not that the other side is not shooting and firing and bombing.
Why is it?
It is that Israel has established, because of the constant firing, extremely solid defense systems and shelters for their own civilian population.
Why do they protect their own people?
Because they care about their own people and because they care about life, not about death.
Did you catch that, guys? Because that's an important point that actually came up in that Piers Morgan discussion, that panel. You say, "Oh, look what Israel did to Gaza. There are places that are just nothing but rubble." Like, that's what Gaza and Hezbollah try to do to Israel. Israel just has better defense system because there's more of an emphasis on protecting their people. If Gaza was actually concerned about protecting these people, one, you could just not keep attacking Israel. But two, you could, all those billions of dollars that went into the pockets of your leaders to make them billionaires, so that all their kids are billionaires driving around in Bugattis and so on, you could have spent that on actually defending your people. All those tunnels that you dug for your fighters, you could have actually dug some shelters for the civilians, but you don't. You don't want shelters for the civilians because your side tries to maximize civilian casualties. And so, I mean, it's just amazing that, look, Israel bombed this place down to rubble. Shame on them. But what are you talking about? They're responding to people who are trying to bomb them down to rubble. Yeah, but they're not. Why? Because Israel focuses on defending their people. And that makes them bad guys. This is insane. It makes them, the good guys are the ones who try to get their own people killed and massacred, and the bad people are the ones who try to protect their own people. That's just life, according to a bunch of really people.
It also shows that lots of people, especially those who are on the side of those who like to sacrifice their own population, they know it. But lots of people around the world just fall for it when you have high numbers of dead people or injured people on one side. They just fall for it because they don't know much. They don't think much. They don't think much about it. They don't think.
And Hamas knows that. Hamas knows that, which is why they do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they only hear so many people died. Oh no, so many people. Wow, how could the other side do that? How could the Jews do this? How could Israel do that? How could they kill so many people?
Genocide.
They never ever sit down and question why so many people are dying and why on the other side people are not dying. They make it look like the other side is not doing anything. The other side is not firing. They're not trying to kill anybody. They are. And if they could, they would be killing all of the entire Israeli population. And they have said so many times. You have only one side that has repeatedly expressed their desire to kill the entire other population. And that is definitely not Israel. That is Hamas.
Take a couple super chats real quick, and then we will read a little bit of this Newsweek article that I think it's from a Muslim perspective, but he is not a Shia. The wood you find, you tricked me. Your King Logos version isn't just a book, but 800. It'll take years for me to refute it all. May Allah's curse be upon you. That's funny. So I did a show about Logos Bible software the other day, and apparently he got an edition that has 800 books in it, and he's complaining that it's going to take years for him to refute. Get used to it, Sheikh. By the way, anyone who wants best Bible software ever, the biggest deal ever in the entire system changes tomorrow. So you might want to check out my show if you want to get it. This is your last chance to get it before it changes to a subscription model.
If you want to be my listener.
You think killing this guy caused a spawn of clones? To an extent. So here we have something that, you've seen Syrian girl and everyone else posting, you've killed one, but 100,000 will rise up in his place. And they keep making the mistake of saying, no, there are a million Nasrallahs. And they say it right after he got blown to bits. I think it's in poor taste. Don't ever say of a guy who just got blown to pieces that he's now a million. There will be a million of him. But that is something that happens. Namely, you can kill somebody and then others will rise up. I have to say, I don't see it happening this time. I mean, just crushing the entire leadership in one fell swoop. Just crushing the entire leadership. See, keep in mind that it's true to an extent, right? You do some damage and people, we'll run in. You can crush a group so thoroughly that they never recover.
They did declare a new leader. Hezbollah did declare and did their new secretary general.
Good luck,
their new leader. His name is Hashim
Better Hashim than me.
Hashim Safiuddin, which is a terrible choice. Not a good name. Hassan Nasrallah stuck well.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about Hashim Safir.
Get a better name, dude.
Hope he dies soon as well.
What's wrong with you, man?
What?
You always hoping everyone dies. I'm hoping everyone like changes their minds or gets caught or something like that. And you're like, no, we don't need to die. But let's face it, that is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen to that dude. He's either going to rein his jihadis in and say, oh, let's just focus on the future and not right now, and dial things back, or he's going to be like assassinated like tomorrow.
It would be good for him. Just imagine how it must be right now, living as the leader, as the new leader of Hezbollah. The constant paranoia, the constant fear, the constant oh no, I shouldn't step out. What if somebody reported? What if somebody saw me? What if somebody snitched on me? What if a missile explodes?
That is not a comfortable existence, guys. That is not a comfortable existence right there. So that is true. That guy has a sucky life. Whoever's taken over leadership of Hezbollah right now has a really, really bad sucky life ahead of them.
Yeah. Apparently, the Israel got the information, the intel on Nasrallah arriving at the headquarters at that time from an insider connected to Iran. So it was apparently, as it looks, an Iranian insider who tipped off Israel and gave them the crucial intel of Nasrallah arriving at the scene. So
I think that's in one of the video clips or in the article that we're checking out. But yeah,
that's much more paranoia now.
Yeah, and other guys, you catch that? There are so many people that hate Hezbollah in Syria and who want Israel. There are people who've been sending messages to Israeli leaders thanking them and so on, but that's a rough place to be in. You're in a country and a bunch of people want you killed. It's already enough that you have, Israel's pretty good at taking out particular targets and so on. It's already bad enough for you that you have Israel hunting you, but you have a ton of people who already hate you in your own country because all the people you killed and all the people you oppressed. Not a good future for this guy. Let's see. The one gamer says, speaking of mourning, my 14-year-old Pomeranian died on Friday. It hurts because I remember the day he was born. He was from a litter of the older ones I had been around for most of my life. I actually thought about that when my wife, she got a poodle. Pretty much my least favorite animal in existence. Maybe bed bugs. Bed bugs would be worse. I have had bed bugs a couple of times. In like 3 times in hotels. I just got chewed to anything. Anyway, that's probably my least favorite creature. Poodle, definitely bottom 5 of the worst creatures ever. Anyway, I was thinking about that because she got him when my youngest son is 5. And I'm thinking, this thing's going to die when it's 12 or 13 or 14, maybe. But that'll be like, that dog will have been around almost as long as my kid can remember. So, yeah.
That's pretty sorry about your loss. Sorry. Somebody said
cool.
Elika would who said that? Somebody said
you need to get her on your channel.
I messaged her earlier.
Tell her you want to start a weekly show.
No. Some LJG said Elika would absolutely make Cenk cry like a baby. I was just
Can you imagine? Okay. All right. Let's just think about this. It's a genocide. What is this? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? That one.
That needs to happen, man. Elika versus
Piers.
Cenk totally needs to happen.
Piers, that's what everyone wants to see, Piers. We all want to see Elika versus Cenk.
And not because it would lead to any fruitful conversation, but because it would be an absolute humiliation that is long overdue, and the guy just deserves it at this point. Man.
Absolutely. My boyfriend will debate you under an emir. I'll be watching. Oh, you got to do that in Ali Dawa's voice. My boyfriend will debate you under an emir. It is done. And you know what? I'll be watching. Yakov here, you should revert to Islam and be a Islamist. And so we shall. Kay here says, David, did you ever watch 2 Girls, 1 Cup? No. It's a heartwarming movie about the importance of friendship, care, and sharing. It's Mojab's favorite movie. Wallahi, it is. No, never seen one. I don't like heartwarming movies.
This is not meant to be a serious comment, I think. So
Yeah, I know. I'm just wondering what kind of weird movie that is.
it's not even a
Two
movie.
girls, one cup.
It's not even a movie. Don't look it up. Don't say it
I'm
again.
not going to look it up. Okay. Hey, pervert. Quit posting pervy stuff here. I have good reason, namely AP suspicion, that you're spreading some weird stuff. Nancy says, the main reason for October 7th, in my opinion, was to release Jew haters from prison to continue their Islamic caliphate. No other reasons, not for a two-state solution and not for peace. The two-state solution is a hoax that the West has bought hook, line, and sinker. As far as Hamas, you could say Hamas wanted to take hostages to exchange to get their prisoners, Hamas prisoners, out of Israeli prisons. The bigger picture is, I mean, Iran's involved in all of this, and you had the Abraham Accords, you had multiple nations agreeing more and more to diplomatic relations with Israel. Iran's looking at this and going, we got to disrupt this whole thing right now. So you could say what Hamas wanted. You could also point out that what Iran wanted.
This is true, and Nancy is correct here. Hamas does not care about a two-state solution. They don't care, and their supporters in the Middle East also don't care for a two-state solution. That is not their aim. Hamas would agree, as they said at some point, for a temporary two-state solution. That is, eventually they put in this policy even into their so-called updated charter, which is just a complete hoax. They said they would accept a provisional state alongside the 1967 borders, but they would never give up the ambition to take all of the land, as is written in their charter, all of historic Palestine, and entirely remove the illegal Zionist entity which has no right to exist. So this is their goal, and that together, of course, also comes with eradicating the Jews and building their caliphate, which is also their goal. Such groups should not exist and should be entirely eradicated or locked away. There's no other way.
Half of the Harbu Darbu list are dead. Thoughts?
Is this in reference to that song Harbu Darbu? Wait, who was mentioned there? Wait. You sick freak. Harbu Darbu in the song there were also others mentioned, including including Mia Khalifa and Dua Lipa.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you, man?
Yeah, what's wrong with people?
Yeah.
When it comes to the number, here's a good question, AP. When it comes to the number of, I don't even want to hear AP's answer, because it's going to be like, you should kill all the civilians. When it comes to the number of civilian casualties, where do you draw the line? How many civilian casualties is appropriate for each military target? There's no set number. What are you even talking about? There's no set number. You have a bunch of terrorists kill a bunch of your people, take a bunch of hostages, and then run and hide in a civilian population. There's no like, oh, well, if the number of civilian casualties gets to this much, then you have to abandon your people and let all those terrorists go. It's not like that. You've got an objective to accomplish, and as a government, you have an obligation to find the people who killed your people and to get your hostages back, and to hunt down the people who took them. And if those guys hide behind lots and lots of civilians, you're just going to get lots and lots of civilian casualties. So this is just a fiction that people believe. It's like, oh, once you get to this number, then what? Then you say, oh, okay, now we'll let them go because we reached the maximum number here. We killed this many civilians, and therefore we just let them keep our hostages and get away with what they did.
Yeah, there is no such concept as so many civilians, such a number of civilian casualties is too much. This much is probably required. That is not a thing. There is a concept of proportionality in warfare, and proportionality does not mean if one side has killed 500, then you are not supposed to kill. Then the other side is not supposed to kill more than 500 or 1,000. None of that has anything to do at all with proportionality. What proportionality is if there is a war, then both sides must conduct their operations in such a way that they minimize civilian casualties, and make sure that whenever they conduct an operation, the civilian casualties that occur as a result of the operation were absolutely necessary in order for the goal to be achieved, or couldn't have been easily avoided. So that is basically what it is. You're not supposed to kill civilians. That said, in every war, civilians will die. In every war, civilians will be hurt. You have to make sure that you minimize it and keep it within reason. If, for example, Israel can demonstrate before can demonstrate that that there is a legitimate military target, they have to strike this target. Hamas is operating from there and repeatedly causing problems, repeatedly firing from there, endangering lives there, and so on. Israel has to take that target out. The best way to do it is to conduct a surgical airstrike into this place, but they are aware that when they conduct this airstrike, it will also potentially hurt civilians that are there. So what they do is to give civilians a forewarning, multiple forewarnings in terms of placing calls, sound bombs, and many other things, dropping leaflets, and they do everything in their power to get the civilians out of the way. If the civilians don't get out of the way, despite everything that has been done, and those civilians then end up as casualties, then Israel is not at fault. They did their best. And in some cases, they even have to strike a target without alarming or without alerting civilians, because
it depends on how significant it is.
Absolutely requires it.
Yeah,
So
and I've seen videos of them where you have the guys who are like they're the ones who are looking at the screens and seeing what's going on, and they're like, no, that's a Hamas guy, but look at the people around him. We're not going to take him out. And it's because he's not, even though he's a Hamas guy and they want to get him, it's like, we'll get that guy later. He's not super high priority. If he was one of the leaders or something like that, that would be a different story. So I don't know. It looks like Israel's in a really, really bad situation with who's around them, and they make the best of it. So yeah, again, it's not here's the number where if you reach that number, you have to let everyone slide and you have to say goodbye to your hostages forever. It's you have your goal, and you have your objectives, and try to minimize the civilian casualties as much as you can along the way. That's what I think your obligation is. Al Qaeda and ISIS are Sunni, once friends, now enemies. Oh yeah, these leaders these terrorist group leaders all want the attention for themselves. They're like the terrorist group equivalent of the Dawa guys. They all at the end of the day, they all want everyone for themselves. Keep in mind, because there are young people rising up. Hey, I want to be a terrorist. You're going to join a group. You want to be the head group. You want to be the head group. You want to be the dominant group that people go join. So you have to show that you're the strong. We're strong. Hang on. Return to Islam for free corn in Jeddah. I'm looking for something that AP can respond to, so I can interrupt him here in a second. The Lebanese Christians I have met are hilarious. When a Muslim insults Jesus, they will refer to the Muslim as son of Muta. One even used the chorus of the song Aisha by Cheb Khaleb while making suggestive sounds.
That's funny.
Yeah. Lebanese Christians probably go hard.
I didn't say nothing about that.
In 2010, I assisted Dr. Bekor, a famous Israeli expert who reported on Lebanon's civil war. The hatred between Shiite Sunnis and Christians was so intense they even played soccer with human heads. What the heck?
I don't know about that, but in the Middle East...
AP, I'm so sorry to interrupt. We do now have official confirmation from the Hezbollah group of the death of Hassan Nasrallah. What's your response, please? You, sir, are a heartless monster. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. It never stops being funny, man.
You are messed up. And Tarun here. Kay, but on a serious note, what you think about my channel?
I don't care about veganism.
Tarun, your channel is the veganism of YouTube channels. Take that exactly how we meant it. All right, guys, just wanted to read a little bit of an article here. It is by, I think, a Sunni Muslim, but wanted to just give a little background because it was good that Newsweek actually put together this. So we'll just read through. I'll just read through this kind of quickly. So this is again Newsweek. Mohamed Aleza, actually former member of the Jordanian Senate. Not sure who that is. Why the Arab Street is celebrating Israel's killing of Hezbollah chief Nasrallah. Opinion. So this is Newsweek, and this is from today. He says, if you look at the comments section, at the comments on social media since it was announced that Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah was targeted and possibly killed in an Israeli air raid on his compound in Beirut, or Beirut, as Mohammed Hijab says, you will find that the overwhelming majority of people posting from Arab and Islamic countries are positive. They're positive about the attack. Many go beyond that to outward gloating, talking about people in Arab and Muslim countries. There are videos of people handing out sweets in the streets, sweets in the streets, sweets in the streets, and an overwhelming sense of joy at what looks like the end of Hezbollah as we know it, as Israel continues to target its commanders. To those unfamiliar with, we'll only read a few paragraphs, but this does give a little background here, and wanted to get a couple different perspectives on this. To those unfamiliar with the region, this may be surprising, especially given that this reaction is the exact opposite of what we saw during the 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah, when mass demonstrations were held daily across Arab and Islamic countries, with protesters carrying pictures of Nasrallah and chanting slogans supporting him and declaring their allegiance to him. So, fighting in 2006 and across the Muslim world, people were overwhelmingly pro-Nasrallah. And now they're laughing and cheering at his death. So, middle of the screen there. What changed that turned support into hate and resentment? Hezbollah is an ideological party based on the principle of Wilayat al-Faqih, or guardianship of the jurist, which is the cornerstone of the Shiite doctrine. It demands the loyalty of its followers to the guardian jurist who acts on behalf of heaven's command. That person is Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, and Hezbollah's fealty to Khomeini is what pushed the party without hesitation to engage in civil wars in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, and to intervene in the protests in Bahrain years ago. These innovations by Hezbollah were not against Israel, but against the Muslim citizens. Get this. These interventions by Hezbollah were not against Israel, but against the Muslim citizens in those countries, most of whom were engaged in revolts against tyrannical dictatorial regimes who built their power off the bodies of their opponents. So you have Hezbollah rising, and Hezbollah's focused on crushing Israel, and as long as their attention is just crushing Israel, people love them. But people love them so much, and they're so well funded that they kept building up stronger and stronger and stronger, and Iran said, wow, we have got a nice little army right there that we can send out to kill tons and tons of Sunnis and everyone else. And that's what happened, and over time, the Muslim world starts turning against them. Hezbollah's support for criminal and corrupt regimes in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and Iran has a much stronger impact on the Arab and Islamic masses than Hezbollah's attacks on Israel. Did you catch that? Hezbollah's support for criminal and corrupt regimes in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and Iran has had a much stronger impact on the Arab and Islamic masses than Hezbollah's attacks on Israel, which is why the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah is not an event worth shedding tears for most of these masses. In other words, they're doing more damage. Hezbollah is doing more damage to Sunni Muslims than they are to Israel. Hezbollah's involvement in repressive actions in neighboring countries elevated strongman leaders who oppressed their fellow Muslims, which angered enough people that Israel was able to recruit a large base for espionage. Here's what you were talking about earlier, AP. Hezbollah's involvement in repressive actions in neighboring countries elevated strongman leaders who oppressed their fellow Muslims, which angered enough people that Israel was able to recruit a large base for espionage missions, one which undoubtedly helped in carrying out successive assassinations of Hezbollah's leaders, the last but not least of which was the assassination of Nasrallah. So they ticked off so many people that people would actually tell Israel where these guys are. So they're living in Hezbollah's in a nightmare situation. They upset so many people that people want them crushed. And here's the last part we'll look at. Even at home in Lebanon, Hezbollah is accused by Lebanese citizens, with the exception of the Shiite community, of being an armed militia that undermines and weakens the Lebanese state. They're undoubtedly that. This accusation has turned out to be true over the past years. Hezbollah took up arms against Saad Hariri's future movement in 2008 and occupied buildings and facilities in Beirut in a blatant show of force. The group was also accused of being involved in the assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik Hariri. From the perspective of the overwhelming majority of Arab and Muslim peoples, Hezbollah is a destructive element that fuels sectarian conflicts and supports authoritarian regimes, so long as these regimes share a common sectarian affiliation with Hezbollah and the supreme leader of Iran wishes to support them. Of course, Muslims across the region are celebrating the end of the Hezbollah group, as we know. And he says, of course they're celebrating the death of this guy and the end of Hezbollah as we know it.
It's kind of funny though, because the Gazans, the Palestinian Arabs, they are overwhelmingly Sunnis, not Shia, but they have been very much helped recently for political reasons by Iran and Hezbollah and the Houthis, all of which are Shia. Well, Hezbollah and Houthis are basically just the extensions of Iran. But so they have been helping Hamas and together fighting against Israel. And now after Nasrallah gets killed, you have Sunnis in Lebanon and Syria and other places suddenly celebrating and even even using the mosques, the loudspeakers of the mosques, to thank Allah for the death of Hassan Nasrallah. It must feel a little bit rough to be Hamas right now, or to be one of those Gazans right now, and see that your fellow Sunni Muslims are all celebrating that your greatest enemy, Israel, killed your ally. It's it is an interesting situation.
Yes, it is. All right, so now we want to get into, now we got the background. Now you can see already why there are lots of people who do not like him, and so why people are celebrating. We're going to see some more breakdowns. We're going to see some video breakdowns from a couple different perspectives, a Jewish perspective, a Lebanese Christian perspective, and some Muslim perspectives on this, and of course, the Dawa Wars. But first, AP. Do you still have your free pagers signed? Do you still have that?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So there was a big protest outside the UN. When Netanyahu showed up. Did you see the trolls who showed up?
I didn't.
Oh, you're in for a real treat. I have a short clip here. I just have a short clip. I chopped it up because there was a lot of cursing. There was a lot of cursing, and I did not have time to bleep everything out. So I just cut out a couple of the clips where there seemed to be not cursing. Anyway, there's a much longer version of this if you want to check it out. But AP, you're gonna love this. So that's over by Grand Central Station, which is the UN. You got to walk down a little set of stairs and stuff, and then you get to the UN. I've been there plenty of times.
It's called the UN.
Yeah. So you have this, AP. You see there's this protest going on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got this protest going on. Now watch. Check out the trolls who are around here. So this is the counter protest, much smaller, but you got people waving Israel flags and so on. But watch what some of them are doing. There it comes.
Who needs a pager? We've got Hezbollah pagers left. Who needs one? Three pages. Three pages.
They said free. They said free for Hezbollah supporters. They said free for Hezbollah supporters. Wait, and then yeah, you could tell right when I cut it because they're starting cursing.
We've got Hezbollah pagers left. Who needs one? Three pagers. Three pagers. Made in Taiwan. We got three pagers.
Made in Taiwan.
That's so much.
Yeah, so a lady comes up and swats, and then some cursing starts. So I went ahead and started it there. But these guys show up at the pro-Palestine, free Palestine protests, and they're offering free pagers.
Free pagers.
Oh man, free pagers, everyone. All right, take a couple super chats and then we'll check out some video clips. I'll just leave that up on the screen for a minute. Let's see. Mutaman. Hey, is this Muhammad himself? He's the Mutaman. I heard a Muslim threaten a Lebanese Maronite who had the most based response. He told the Muslims he was former Lebanese Defense Forces and has made the Muslims' ancestors learn to walk with one leg. Dang. Pretty brutal. Or as AP would say, based. Wajahat Ali, second guy from left, played a race card with Konstantin Kisin, shocker, on Piers Morgan. Kisin shut him down brilliantly. Watch 60 seconds starting at 2020. How long ago was that? We could have checked that out. I like Konstantin. Konstantin's pretty cool.
He's based. He's pretty good.
Might want to check that out. Jack Ray here says, will Hashim end up as hash on the floor like the previous leaders? What do you think, AP? Because I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he's going to be someone that Israel's like, okay, we'll let this guy run things, or are they just so sick of it they're like, nope. You either stay really well hidden, or you stick your head out, in which case you're gone. I don't know.
I don't know. He was designated as a terrorist a long time ago. I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of a history he has. But I honestly don't know. It's just it really depends on whatever message Israel wants to send at the moment, and whether they want to go hardcore and say nope, you are no longer allowed to exist. Plus, there are also talks of a ground invasion, of a minimal or limited ground invasion by Israel. If they are going to do that, it's going to depend on the results of the ground invasion.
And guys, the point of a ground invasion would be to take over portions of southern Lebanon, so that that area is safe from launching rocket attacks, so they can move their people back in. And then then for all the Lebanese who want Israel out of there will be conditions, and it will be, okay, we backed out last time, and you guys did not hold Hezbollah accountable. What steps are you going to take? We've already taken out their entire leadership. What steps is Hezbollah going to agree to, and what steps are you guys going to take to make sure they do not come down and just start building up forces and launching rockets at us? What are you going to do? And there's going to have to be a deal, and there's going to have to be guarantees on how this gets enforced. But as for this guy, we don't know anything about. I don't know anything. I know zero about this guy. So I don't know how Israel's going to react to him because I don't know enough about the guy.
Lebanon is a very I mean, they have they try not to talk about religion to each other very much because they know where it leads, among the population. But they also they want to keep the Shia side from having their own leadership and having their own way. But try to stop them as much as possible. So the others, the non-Shia, they try to stop the Shia side as much as possible from trying to interfere in the business of others, which Hezbollah has a very, very difficult time dealing with. They think they're the boss, of course, of the whole club. But if things get dirty in Lebanon, they can escalate really, really, really badly. The civil war in the 80s was known as an extremely bloody civil war on all sides, not just on one side, on all sides, because there was so much hate, so much resentment, such an urge for revenge among all of the sides involved that Israel came in and tried to help the Christians. Israel was collaborating with the Christians and trying to give them cover as much as possible. However, under their supervision, several massacres occurred where after Christians were massacred by the other side, the Christians themselves thought, okay, so you're massacring us, how about this? And then they go into a village and massacre them instead, and so on. It got really, really dirty. Lebanon is always a ticking time bomb. Even the current political system with its divisions is always thought to at some point probably collapse and blow up. It's really, really messy. I don't know. It's just if you put these three groups that really don't like each other together into one country and tell them to govern, it's not sure how you're going to handle that.
It's pretty rough. And I have to say that's why it's kind of amazing, like being in the old city of Jerusalem, where you've got Jews right there, you've got Christians right here, you've got Muslims right here, and they somehow are able to maintain order there, and it just doesn't work out in lots of places like that. Eventually, got people. You've got all these different groups trying to take over. Ferox here says, Nasrallah didn't die because of the explosion. Check it out. Well, I can't check it out because you didn't say what he died from then. What? Someone shoot him? What? Going to have to provide evidence. 5 people came here tonight in hopes of changing 2,595 people's opinions with zero validity. Yeah, I've seen some of those 5 people. D1 and AP, you guys attract such narcissists. Thank you both. Yeah, we do. That's what we do. We attract narcissists. David, please stop bullying AP. Okay, I will. 2 Sneekos, 1 Muhammad hijab, same story, different people. I guess that was that earlier story you were telling me not to.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Based women. Yeah, there were based women on that Piers show. All right, we'll check this out from Tarun, and then we'll jump into some more video clips. You guys should make a video about Muhammad meeting Ravana in Muhammad's boom boom box. Boom boom box. And also, AP, what in the heck happened to Prophet Tales series? You've explained that before, but...
I have explained it before. The guy that I worked with has apparently difficulties with me, and is one of those people who, because he has political disagreements with
everyone
me,
has difficulties with you.
Cuts off all ties. And
I have difficulties with you, and I do shows with you all the time.
Yeah, but that guy so it turned out that the guy is apparently severely anti-Semitic and also anti-Israel, and buys into the conspiracy theorist neo-Nazi club. So after October 7, when everything got a little bit more radicalized, I think he stopped following me and also responding to me on everything. So I haven't been able to collaborate with him anymore on the Prophet Tales, although I was still working on it. That's why it's stalled, and I'm not sure what to do at this point. Honestly,
we've been doing this for years. How come we don't have like a team of at least a couple of animators and stuff to do stuff? Because we're unstoppable fire hoses of awesome ideas.
Well, the thing with the Prophet Tales was, when I had the idea, it was a long time ago, many years ago. I was mowing the lawn, and thinking things to myself and thought, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea to do a cartoon about Prophet Muhammad? It should be called The Prophet Tales. I came up with the name right there. Thought about the concept. Thought about making a music that is kind of like the Family Guy thing, and so on. And I thought I should pitch this idea one day to Sai 10. So years later, I did, and he was like, "Hey, brilliant idea, let's do it." So this is how we came up with it. But the entire time I had in my mind working with him, because I really liked his style, his animations, and the voice acting that he does.
He does all that
So
stuff
when
well.
he's suddenly out of the picture, I'm like, okay, well.
So it's kind of the same reaction to that "she was 9 years old" guy, right? Like, hey, you did some awesome stuff right here, and then you find out, we're not going to get along because you have some really bad ideas. Yep,
Yeah.
pretty disheartening. All right, let's go ahead and check out so we saw here the free pagers. Matter of fact, let me let that play to the end again in case anyone came in late. But you had a rally against Israel and a rally against Netanyahu at the UN, and some guys showed up to troll the protesters.
Who needs a pager? We've got Hezbollah pagers left. Who needs one?
Quite a deal.
Free pagers. Free pagers. Made in Taiwan. We got free pagers.
Do you love death so much?
All right, so I mentioned that we had a lot of different reactions to the death of Nasrallah. Here's the reaction in Melbourne, Australia. So these, to be clear, these are, looks like thousands and thousands of pro-Nasrallah guys in the streets of Melbourne, Australia. People still not realizing, hey, you keep importing these guys. Yeah, these guys are great. These guys are great. These guys, wait till something sets people off.
You know what's really messed up? What they're shouting there is Labbaik Nasrallah, which means here I am, Nasrallah, here I am, Nasrallah. They also shout that when they go to the Kaaba, Labbaik, 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 to Allah and to Muhammad, Labbaik Ya Rasulullah, and so on. Here I am. And it's kind of, it goes back to Abraham saying that, which is also most likely taken from the Bible, where in the Bible Abraham, like several other figures, say "Here I am" in response to God. In Hebrew, it is
"Here I am, send me."
Hineni. In Arabic, it's Labbaik is the equivalent. So this should be something that is like a response to a holy call, a pure call. And here they are. This is the typical Islamic. This is the typical Islamic aspect of something. The Islamic way of turning something like that into terrorism, into violence, into hate. They shout this for a terrorist now.
And again, guys, this is the issue. You can bring in millions of people and have very rare problems out of them. Those people have worldviews, and certain things can set a lot of them off. And then what do you do? What do you do? I have to say, I'm glad the free pagers guys didn't show up to this, because there's too many of them and too few police here. But let's check this out.
Where is this, you said?
That was Melbourne, Australia. We also have Sydney, Australia. So Nasrallah apparently really big in Australia for some reason. No idea how he became so popular in Australia. Maybe he reminded the people there of a cuddly koala bear.
This is
What's that?
This is just further once again showing how stupid Western nations are compared to Israel. You can't do this stuff in Israel.
Yeah, I have to say, looking at this, and keep in mind that you've got a bunch of people in these countries that are being overrun with jihadis and people who support foreign terrorist groups and so on, and the leaders of these same nations will tell Israel, here's what you need to do. Let us tell you what you need to do. We know better than you on how to deal with.
How about you guys shut up and let Israel handle it? Because you guys obviously are giant failures, all of you.
So this is Sydney, Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Land of koalas, kangaroos, crocodiles. Shrimp on the barbie. What would Crocodile Dundee think about this?
I bake.
Maybe the dingo ate your baby. You don't even remember that. What?
I'm baked, Ya Rasulullah. I'm baked, Ya Rasulullah.
So that is a Muslim response. That is a matter of fact, that is a Shia Muslim response. You do have some Sunnis who are supporting the Shias in this tragic time, but mostly Shias. And you see
wait a minute. In Australia, Hezbollah is recognized is designated as a terror group.
What?
And yet you can just walk through. We walk through there with praising Hezbollah, and everything is totally cool. In Canada, it is also designated. In many other countries, it's also designated. In the UK, it's designated as a terrorist group, but you can walk through the UK with a Hezbollah flag and shout support for Hezbollah, and nothing happens to you. But go around and say something about Islam, and the police is there, like, we have to talk to you, and we must talk to you, mate. Stupid Western idiots.
Yeah, laws are pretty useless if you we're not going to enforce them against those guys because we're scared of those guys. But that's how Western nations are. That's how they are. Okay, now we're going to look at a clip from a Lebanese Christian woman. Mariam Yunus. So this is for the Philos Project. They have a channel on YouTube. You can follow them on Twitter and so on. Matter of fact, I have a link to this in the description box if you want to follow the channel. But she's giving her perspective as a Lebanese Christian who fled Lebanon to Israel.
She's probably pretending to be a Christian.
Israel confirmed.
Yeah, you see, she's actually a Jew. Look.
Look at that.
Look. Oh, she's clearly a Jew.
Israel confirmed that Hassan Nasrallah, the head of the Iranian regime's terror proxy in Lebanon, Hezbollah, was killed in a strike yesterday by the IDF. As a Lebanese Christian, Nasrallah's elimination might mean I could return home to my village in Lebanon and see my family again.
There are lots of Lebanese Christians who got the heck out of there.
Yeah.
Because of Hezbollah and the fighting and so on. And they moved to America or Europe or Israel.
Hezbollah is a complex personality within the Lebanese society. Hezbollah, a Shiite group, and its leader Nasrallah are allegedly responsible for the elimination of key Lebanese personalities through the years to establish their own rule, such as the former Sunni Prime Minister Rafi al-Hariri, the Christian Kata'ib Party politician Piers Morgan, the journalist Gibran al-Twaini, former Minister of Economy Muhammad Shatta, and the list goes on and on. In addition, the proxy is responsible for the 2020 port explosion in Beirut, which killed and injured thousands of Lebanese civilians.
That was 2020. They did a lot of stuff before that. In fact, seemed to be worse in the past, where there's just like no stability anywhere in Lebanon.
To the explosion of approximately 3,000 tons of Hezbollah's ammonium nitrate stored in a warehouse. Hezbollah helped the Assad regime in Syria eliminate opposition to the brutal dictatorship. Hezbollah is hated by a significant number of Lebanese and others in the region, as he played a main role in obstructing the elections of a Lebanese president and terrorizing potential candidates. The terrorist organization has also led the country into a war with Israel on the 8th of October, despite the Lebanese government's strong opposition. People in Lebanon and Syria are celebrating Nasrallah's death, and we are all very hopeful that this will open a door to an agreement between Israel and Lebanon that will lead to prosperity and peace in the region.
Alhamdulillah.
And so check out how they're interpreting it. We're hoping that this leads to an agreement between Israel and Lebanon. So you have tons of Lebanese who do not want Hezbollah there. They don't want Hezbollah starting a war with Israel and so on. And so, as we were mentioning earlier, there is the possibility of an invasion where Israel would take over southern Lebanon. And as I mentioned, since they've taken out the Hezbollah leadership, there would be conditions. But yeah, so that's what she's saying she's looking for. She's looking for Lebanon saying, okay, let's get together, negotiate. We will keep Hezbollah from running anything, and let's get along better.
Yeah, there are lots of people who will not trust the Jews here in this whole issue. At least listen to the Christians, right? If you have a problem with them, at least listen to the Christians who are speaking, who know what they're talking.
No, but she's under apartheid. She's in Israel under apartheid. She left Lebanon to be under apartheid, and that's why she wants to get out of Israel and go back to Lebanon.
Well, after the Civil War, so during and after the Civil War, first off, Lebanon had a thriving Jewish community. The Jewish community is entirely gone. As soon as the signs of the Civil War started showing up, and the Civil War started, flaring up, the attacks on Jews started, and the Jews thought, all right, it's time to get out of here. So they left. The next group, where large numbers of people had to leave because they thought, well, there is no hope for us here, were Christians. Lots of Christians left Lebanon. Lots of them left. They left to Israel.
Lots of them became critics of Islam as well.
Yeah. They left for North America, for Europe, Israel, and other places where they found safety. Some of them, of course, many of them still stayed there, and it led to basically the Islamist side taking over, and the Shia side becoming the mafia and the bully in Lebanon. It's really a mess.
Galadorn says Gad Saad's family had to flee. Do you know if he had to flee because of that? I know he's Lebanese Christian. Yeah, I think Brigitte Gabriel. I think her family also fled Lebanon because of that. So. That's what I mean. You had a lot of people who became very critical of Islam because they saw it up close. And it's great to have them, because when people hear someone like me say, hey, I have a problem with child marriage or with jihad or something, like, oh, you're just a white racist, you just hate brown people. Okay, there's a bunch of Lebanese Christians and ex-Muslims and all kinds, people from all kinds of backgrounds. They've seen it up close, so listen to them at least. If you don't want to listen to me, listen to them. Just don't ever listen to a Turkish ex-Muslim.
Yeah.
Take a couple of super chats, and then we're going to go through a clip by, what's that guy's name?
Yishai Fleischer.
Yeah. Then we're gonna check out his video, because he also posted it, and he's the one, he put together some clips. Well, no. He's playing someone else's compilation, but he already did the work of some of the clips of people celebrating the death of Nasrallah in the Arab world. So you have Muslims, Christians, and so on who really, really, really did not like this guy. But we'll check that out. Take these super chats, and then we'll check out that clip.
He's based.
A better guest is, so I guess this is then. Elika. A better guest is Natasha Hustov. She's a lawyer, expertise in international law. She was on trigonometry. You're saying she was, because, again, Elika was just like an Uzi. Like a straight Uzi.
she killed it. She was
if
brutal, yeah.
Natasha's better than that, that's interesting. I would be interested. I need to watch Trigonometry again. They always do awesome shows.
They're funny.
And they're funny because I think they were both comedians. That's brilliant. That works, man. Joe Rogan started that little pattern of, hey, we're funny. If we just start doing podcasts, then we're funny. If we bring on interesting guests, then you got an interesting topic and it'll be funny. I like that. Smart idea. Lebanese Shia Muslims should be deported to Iran. You could say Hezbollah supporters. Or something
Which
like that.
would mean almost all Shia Muslims, to be honest.
That would be a lot of Shia Muslims. That would be funny if Israel's like, okay, we took over South Lebanon. You want it back? Send all the Shias to Iran.
And they say Jews. They talk about Jews, but say Zionists instead. So how about we say Hezbollah supporters?
All right, here's a question, AP, that we've answered 10,000 times. What do you say to those that think the response in Gaza has been disproportionate? Given that over 50% of buildings have been destroyed or hit. You tell me, Salfa Music. If someone crosses your border, goes over, under, and through your border, kills 1,200 of your people, men, women, and children, rapes a bunch of women and so on, then takes a bunch of hostages, goes back across the border, and hides all over the place, what is the correct number of buildings you are allowed to destroy while looking for the people who did it and while looking for your hostages? What's the appropriate number of buildings?
Now, here is the thing. I just want to draw out one thing. So, you have first Israel, or the Jewish communities, the Yishuv, the Zionists, before the foundation of modern Israel. You have Israel in the 1920s and 30s and 40s trying to build communities, build a functioning society together with the Arabs and trying to coexist, and being repeatedly attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked. Then you have 1948, Israel receives from the United Nations the plan to partition the land. They are not very happy with it, but they accept it anyway because they think at least we get land. So they agree to it, create their land. The other side rejects the plan, comes together with the other Arab nations and invades Israel. Then until 1967, Gaza is under Egyptian occupation, under Egyptian control. During that entire time, throughout those 2 decades, Gaza is used by violent, aggressive people on that side as a front to fire at Israel, to infiltrate and try to conduct terrorist attacks inside Israel. Constant attacks all the time. So Israel takes it, fires back and forth with them. Eventually, in 1967, when Egypt once again tries to be a bad boy and tries to go to war with Israel, Israel takes over the land, all of it, also takes the Sinai Peninsula, eventually gives it back, also talks about giving back Gaza. Egypt says, nope, we don't want it. Wonder why. Egypt says we don't want it, keep it. So Israel keeps Gaza occupied after that time. During the entirety of that time, Gaza is nothing but trouble. There is no attempt, no effort at all to resolve the conflict, to coexist, to make peace, to find a solution. The population is hell-bent on, one day we will find a way to defeat and destroy the Zionist entity and take over this land and make all of it Islamic Muslim land again. Actually, make all of it Arab land again for most. Israel tries to solve the problem by fighting with the secular Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, or the Communist Socialist PFLP and other organizations. Eventually, after fighting them for a very, very long time, they somehow convinced them to stop being so aggressive and starts putting them down at the table and starts having negotiations with them. As a result to that, in opposition to that, the Gazan population perceives that as treason, right? As treason, and starts turning toward the Islamists and asks them for help. And that's how Hamas rises up in the 80s as an alternative, because the secular ones were obviously a failure because they want to negotiate with Israel. But you're not supposed to negotiate with Israel. You're supposed to fight them until all of the land is yours. During this entire time, Gaza is full of fighting and fighting and fighting and terrorist attacks and arson and this and that. So it goes until the 2000s, Intifada, blowing themselves up, blowing each other up, assassinations, and so on. The problem doesn't seem to be solved. Israel finally thinks, okay, we cannot annex this land and cannot make these people part of our community, because if we do that, then we have to, over time, give these people citizenship, which would involve giving them equal rights in elections. And if we just import these 2 million people who are obviously very radical into our country and give them the right to vote, we might as well commit suicide, is what they say. So they come up with a plan and say, let's remove all Israeli settlements and all of our Israeli presence from Gaza, build a solid wall, a solid border, and give them the right to autonomously rule this piece of land and work toward a two-state solution. What does Gaza do? They immediately elect Hamas. Hamas says, all right, we're done with all kinds of negotiations, all kinds of peace, all kinds of reason, all kinds of mutual recognition. There is no alternative aside from fighting and taking over all of Israel, destroying Israel, killing the Jews, and turning all of this into Islamic land. Islamic land. Israel, in response to that, puts an embargo, a blockade on Gaza together with Egypt. They both agree to it, and even the West Bank agrees to it, by the way, at that point. However, after that, instead of building their own state and building their own society, Hamas for 20 years does nothing except building a massive underground tunnel network and turning everything they can find into armor, into arms, into weapons to attack Israel, conducts further terrorist attacks, and so on. The problem just does not get solved. Israel learns to live with it, despite the fact that at first they thought, okay, if this doesn't work out, then we will just go in and invade it and see what happens. Despite that, Israel thinks, okay, this is going to be too effortful and will take too much resources. So instead, they start building up a defense system, the Iron Dome, and other defense systems, and think, okay, they're going to shoot at us and fire at us all the time. We just have to live with it somehow. Let's create some proper defense system. Eventually, that doesn't work either. It turns out that you just can't live with that stuff. What happens? October 7 happens. They come in, they kill 1,200 people. What in the world do you now expect Israel to do after all of this?
That was the extremely long answer. I will give the very short answer. But Selfa Music here had a follow-up. He said, all I'm saying is that the USA has done great efforts to protect civilians. I do not see Israel employing the same care. Then you are listening to a bunch of nonsensical propaganda, Selfa. Israel takes crazy steps that go beyond anything else anyone does to protect civilians. It's hard to do because no one ever fights in this situation. Israel is the only one fighting people who deliberately maximize their own civilian casualties. In other words, there's a reason Hamas attacks and then runs and hides among civilians. They want the civilians dead. No one is in that situation. Other armies do not fight like that. Other armies don't push their civilians to the front and then run and hide. The purpose of the army is to protect the civilians. It's reversed in Gaza. So it's a nightmare situation. As for the USA, I'll just give you a quick example. Selfa. I hope this helps you understand. As far as the USA protecting civilians, they dropped entire nuclear bombs on people, right? The USA. Why did they do that? Why'd they do that? I'll give you a quick rundown. Okay, little history lesson. Pearl Harbor. Japanese attacked. sunk or damaged 21 ships, and of the 402 aircraft, destroyed 188 and damaged 159. 2,400 Americans killed, including military and civilians. 1,100 more wounded. So 2,400 deaths, 21 ships severely damaged or destroyed. What's the proportionate response to that, Salfa Music? What's the proportionate response? Is it like double? Is it double? Is it, okay, you killed 2,400, so we'll get 4,800 of yours to even the score? Is it triple? Is it quadruple? Is it 10 times? Millions of people died. Millions. Why? Because you're not fighting to even a score or settle a score or be proportionate. You are fighting to make the other side surrender so that you can put conditions upon them so that they cannot do that to you again. That's your goal. Why is Israel fighting in Gaza? It's not to settle a score. It's not you killed 1,200 people and therefore we need to be proportionate. It's we are going in there until you surrender. Give us our hostages back and give us guarantees that Hamas is not going to be in charge anymore. This war could be over tomorrow. This war could end tomorrow. It's in Hamas's power to end this tomorrow. They'll say, we surrender. Here are your hostages back. It's over. It's over. So whose fault is it if they keep going, we're not going to surrender, we're not going to surrender? Again, the United States dropped nuclear bombs on Japan. Why? Because they wanted to kill a bunch of people? No. They were willing to do whatever it took to make them surrender. And they knew in military invasion going house to house, the Japanese would not surrender. They wouldn't surrender. You would have to go house to house fighting every last Japanese person. They had this sense of honor and this loyalty to the emperor. And so they were not going to surrender ever. But if we just shock them with these big weapons, then we'll get them to surrender. Why? The goal is not to be proportionate. The goal is to make people surrender. Again, unless you're talking about proportionate in the correct sense, but people always misapply it and think you're like trying to settle some score and what are you going double or triple or what? And stupid, and Piers Morgan does this all the time. Anyway, the goal of fighting a war is supposed to be to win and to make the other side surrender. Why doesn't Hamas surrender? Because they know that people around the world are going, look at the civilians. They know if they keep it up long enough, they're ultimately encouraging more hostility towards Israel. So that's why, in other words, they're not surrendering because of the protesters. Because of the protesters on their side, because of all these things, because of all these nations, because of the UN, that's why they're not surrendering. If people just said, you know what, Israel, go ahead and get the job done. Do not back down from these guys until they surrender. Hamas would surrender. They know that they have international support. That's why they keep doing it. And so why is Israel still there fighting? It's pretty straightforward. All right, let's take these couple of super chats and let's see, where'd that go? Okay, here we go. Let's see. Holly B didn't leave a comment, but thank you, Holly B, who says Turk lira lost 94% of its value since Erdogan in 2014.
Yep.
The Turkish lira. You guys have
Turkish
lira too,
lira,
like Italy?
Yeah, Turkish lira is toast.
Wow.
It's funny.
Good job, Erdogan. It's what you get for Hagia Sophia. Mosh Cohen. Oh, by the way, thanks, Mosh Cohen, for the channel memberships and for spreading our stuff all over the West Bank. Beirut in the 70s, Paris of the Middle East. Paris today, Beirut of Europe. Karma is such a beautiful thing. May Lebanon be Christian again. That is funny how rapidly. The Beirut in the 1970s, it's the Paris of the Middle East. And now look at Paris. This is the Beirut of Europe. That's pretty funny. Pager is made by Dennis Prager. That is like the worst joke ever. That's like a AP type joke. Have you guys checked in on Candace? These Frankens are winning. Is Candace complaining about the Frankens? Here's from Isa. Hey, he says, brothers, many were upset about this war, wanted there to be precision strikes so there would be less innocent casualties. Isn't that happening now? Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And it just shows, as we've seen over and over, it does not matter what Israel does. If they are extremely precise, shame on you for being so darn precise that you're literally blowing up pagers in the pockets of terrorists. or you just drop a bomb. Shame on you for dropping a bomb on them. Yeah, doesn't matter what they do.
So, Israel has been very precise and very careful during this entire war. Of course, in every war, every side, every country, every military makes mistakes. Whenever they made a mistake, they also acknowledged it. They said this was not meant to happen. We acknowledge it, and we will investigate it and take action accordingly. They did. They have been doing a fantastic job in terms of being precise and sticking to targets. Under the circumstances, they're doing a fantastic job. You have, on the one hand, experts and analysts on urban warfare saying that Israel is excelling in abiding by the rules of urban warfare here. On the other hand, you have people on social media saying Israel genocide.
It's ethnic cleansing.
Guys, how did Israel take out Hezbollah's leadership so rapidly when they've been fighting in Gaza for almost a year now?
That's what
because they don't want to just blanket destroy everybody. They could. The Gaza could have been blown to pieces in a day if Israel wanted to.
That's what they do.
So it's not perfect. It's just not a perfect situation. You put someone in a nightmare situation where you either don't do anything or you come and get your hostages and come hunt down the terrorists, but it's in densely populated areas and they're hiding everywhere amongst the civilians. And when you see a person, you don't know if that's a civilian or a jihadi. You don't know because they'll dress up like civilians. And so someone's, hey, I'm just a regular guy. You don't know if he's going to pull out a gun and blow your brains out. So everyone is very amped up. Nightmare situation. That's what Islam does. That's what Islam does. It puts you in a nightmare situation. And then no matter what you do, you are to blame. In other words, they'll say, here, take this terrible option or this terrible option or this terrible option. Take your pick of the terrible options that you don't want to be in. And then you say, okay, I'll take this terrible option. They go, oh my goodness, look, they took this terrible option. Why? Why did they take such a terrible option?
That's what they do.
Oh, wait, there was that question about, do we even know about that? Prophet Tales. What software was used? How drawn? That's what the animators do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
Germany will deny citizenship. Do you hear about this? Germany will deny citizenship to anyone who used, likes, or comments on the slogan "From the river to the sea." Was on the news today. Is that true? You hear about that?
I don't know about the specifics. I trust D too, but I also believe it because they recently
you've seen them cracking down.
Recently mentioned another issue, which was actually bringing Israel into the equation of when they decide whether they give somebody citizenship or not. So acknowledging Israel's right to exist or something like that. I believe it. I have to look it up though.
Oh, yeah, check that out. We might want to comment on that at some point. Dr. Rick, thank you for the Apologetics Roadshow memberships. We'll take one or two more real quick, and then we'll watch this final video of the evening. Bo Rudder says, David brings logic. Comedians bring comedy. AP brings the proof.
The proof.
AP brings the proof.
So I see the use of maps which territory.
What are you looking at?
The law.
Oh, the German thing.
Yeah.
How many times have we said it, guys? You must.
We're going to take over Europe. We're going to subjugate everybody.
People will eventually react. The Germans will react a bit more quickly to that, guys. So we kept saying, don't push the Germans, man. You know them. The only reason they've been putting up with something is because they still have all this guilt from World War II. And so they're willing to put up with all kinds of stuff. These are still Germans you're talking about. You don't know what that culture does. Look what it's done to AP. He was a perfectly nice little Turkish boy living in Germany, and he comes out, speaking German.
Damn, I have to read the document. They actually cited the document. I'm reading the German article about which says that when in the future citizenship is given out, they will take into consideration the history of posts and use of different paroles, of different slogans and so on. And among those, they cite slogans such as "From the river to the sea," also possibly in addition to "Palestine will be free," and similar things like that, will be taken into consideration and will be flagged as not likely to receive citizenship. It's
And
fun.
guys, that's just the first. That's just the first step. They're just trust me, they're just getting warmed up. You do not want to screw with these guys. And then what's going to happen is the Germans are going to freaking crack down, start massive deportations and so on, and a bunch of other European countries are going to go, huh? So that's how you deal with these guys running around going, yes, we're going to chop the head off of them. We're going to get child marriage. Yeah. Beirut, who says Beirut was so much better than Paris until the 1970s that the French copied Beirut, so much so that Beirut got Islamized. French decided to follow. I don't know if that's historically accurate, but I know Beirut used to really be an awesome place, and then jihad took over and so on.
It is still beautiful. It is still I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I haven't been there, but
We're going.
The pictures and all of that, it's videos from there. It's still a very, very beautiful place, but of course, politically and socially, and certain parts of it have become really, really bad. And it has a whole Hezbollah-ruled suburb and so on. So,
hey, we should show up there and start talking trash about Hezbollah, and then like the Sunnis would be like,
Oh, maybe we were wrong about David and AP. They're actually good guys. They're good guys on our side.
lots of people ask me to go there and to come there, but I'm thinking I don't really know if I want to do that.
Caleb says, isn't Dearborn mostly a Shia area? Yes, it is. That is correct. In fact, we actually have, back when we were messing around in Dearborn, there would be Shias who would be like, yeah, it's really good you exposing these Sunnis, because most of our criticisms of Islam are based on Sunni hadiths and so on. But it's funny because I've always gotten comments from Shias who we got lots of comments about Islamicize me from Shias saying, oh man, this is great. I'm showing this to my kids so they understand how stupid Sunni Islam is. It's like, okay, good. Keep doing that. Awesome. Caleb says, D. Wood, from being there, do you think being where? Dearborn? I'm not from Dearborn. I've just been there a bunch of times. From being there. Oh, being there. Not D.
Being
Wood.
there.
Oh, okay.
Having been there.
Okay. I thought it said being from there. It says, I read that backwards. D. Wood, Daily Wire. From being there, do you think by the way, why I screwed that up, AP? You know why? Because now whenever I see DW, I think I'm supposed to say Daily Wire. So I'm actually like focusing on the DW going, what do I say? Do I say D Wood or Daily Wire to amuse AP? And then,
this is how I ruin everything. See?
Mm-hmm. D Wood, from being there, do you think how did a 100,000 population city Dearborn get colonized or conquered? Detroit, Michigan is full of them. We know exactly what happened in Dearborn. We know exactly what happened. That's where Ford Motors was. Henry Ford imported tons and tons and tons of Muslim workers. Henry Ford really, really didn't like Jews. I don't know. I haven't investigated enough to know if there's a connection. It's like, these Muslims hate Jews just like I do or something like that. I have no idea. But yes, Ford Motors brought in tons of people from the Middle East to work as workers.
Wait a minute. Are you serious?
What?
Is that really what he did?
Yes. Yeah, that's why you ended up with that massive Muslim population.
I know he had a whole thing against Jews.
He did. I don't know if there's a connection. I don't know if that's totally separate. Just like, hey, here's where I can get a bunch of workers, and I hate Jews, or it's, hey, I hate Jews. Let's get a bunch of Muslims in here.
That is very, very funny.
I don't know. All right, we got a few more super chats, but let's go ahead and check out some of this video. We'll watch the beginning, and then we'll sort of skip ahead. We will skip ahead to the section where he covers some clips of Arabs celebrating the assassination of Nasrallah.
All right, folks, Yishai Fleischer here in studio, broadcasting from the land of Israel, where a big news day in the Middle East is taking place, and that is the death and elimination of Hassan Nasrallah, the arch-terrorist. Yes, the head of Hezbollah, the Secretary General
Hassan.
Of this terror organization.
Is that the correct pronunciation? Hassan? Because I actually like that better.
It's Hassan. Hassan.
He said Hassan.
It's because Jews, they have the normal H, the and the harsh H, the ch.
You're blaming the Jews for that. You're blaming the Jews.
When Hebrew speakers say Arabic words that have the sound, they usually say it
do
with
the
ch,
ch.
which is why they do.
I actually
they
like
say,
it.
For example, they say Hamas, for example, when it's Hamas.
I actually like that better because you can really overemphasize it, and you could be like, so when Hassan Nasrallah from Hezbollah was killed, and I don't know, it just sounds funnier to me.
It's in Arabic they have the soft then they have and then they have so they have three kinds of H sounds,
and the Jews have two.
In Hebrew, they have two, but they normally are meant to have three, I think, but it was reduced to two. And they have the normal soft one and the ch one, and they just use the ch for both of the stronger ones. That's what they do.
That's what they do.
One of Iran's major arms has been taken out by Israel. Israel taking the unusual move to take credit
that is
for
usually
the elimination.
they keep their mouth closed.
And it's a big news day here in Israel. I was in synagogue today. People were filing in. Somehow they got the information.
Oh, yeah. See, here we have the Jewish reaction. He's talking about the people in the synagogue. Let me back up a little bit because I was interrupting him. But he's talking about going to the synagogue. Going to the synagogue. It's the Sabbath. And talking about people, but they're hearing about it. They're hearing about it while they're there. But check this out.
Has been taken out by Israel. Israel taking the unusual move to take credit for the elimination. And it's a big news day here in Israel. I was in synagogue today. People were filing in. Somehow they got the information, police folks and other folks, that knew what was going on because we were observing the Sabbath, and yet that information was flowing in. And of course, jubilation, because this man has been a thorn in our sides and has killed thousands of Israelis, Americans, Brits, French people. He has been an arch-terrorist at the hands of Iran. He has ruled the Hezbollah for over 30 years. Hezbollah was founded in 1982, but he took over in 1992. He is a Shiite cleric. He was a Shiite teacher.
Yeah, guys, don't ever forget, this guy killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Jews, Christians, Muslims, the dude in his organization killed a lot of people, and he's the proxy of Iran, who seems to be pulling a lot of strings for a lot of these terrorist groups. And shame on Israel for finally doing something about it when the rest of the world will not.
And he was one of the real followers of the Iranian regime, and he was a backer of the Assad regime's suppression of Syrian civilians. We'll see more about that in the end. Let's take a look at some of the video of the strike itself. As you could see, a massive bombing. This was a video taken by a civilian in South Lebanon in the Dakhya neighborhood of Beirut. What exactly was struck, I don't know yet. Was it the bunker? Was it bunker busters? Or was it a car that he was getting into? There's some conflicting information. In any case, one thing is for sure, ding dong, the witch is dead.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. All right, guys, I actually have a link to the full video because the video is a bit too long to go through. I think it's like a little over 13 minutes or something like that. But so anyway, if you want, there's a link to the video in the description box if you want to check out the full video. Oh, I did want to check out this because he points out that there's this video going around. And then I want to sort of skip to clips of people celebrating. But he points out that there is this a different video circulating.
Leadership in Iran. The message is very clear here. You'll see it. Although it's in Arabic, you'll get the message clearly. Here we go. We started from the right place.
Oh, I can't push us over. Darn it. Oh, there we go. Good. Look at that. Dominoes falling.
The message is clear.
Yeah, it is. All the dead leaders.
Hezbollah members have been eliminated. And here comes Hassan Nasrallah, he's been eliminated, but that's not the end. Check
And
out this
who's
part.
next?
Who is next? It says in Arabic, who is next? We don't know.
Put it in Arabic, who's next?
Don't try to find out, because if you find out, that means that you're too close to the bad guys. There they are right there. Hassan Nasrallah, the domino that has fallen. An arch terrorist eliminated today. That video, I don't know who made it, but I think it's probably from the Israeli government. A message to the bad guys that indeed they are being targeted. And in fact, Israeli News, which is behind me, has released some of the a chart showing the leadership structure.
Yeah, we've seen that one, and how that's the entire leadership has been obliterated pretty much, even though they're trying to piece together new leaders. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about, AP. How do we not have animators who can make cool falling dominoes with faces and stuff on them? We need people like that.
They're eating the dogs. I love this guy. I met him briefly in Tel Aviv. You met him too, very briefly. You probably don't remember when we were at the event with Michael Rappaport. He came up to me.
Oh, we met this guy?
Yeah, we briefly shook hands with Yisha, and also exchanged numbers, and have been messaging actually, and have been trying to set something up. Just didn't do it yet.
How do you?
But I like.
How do you get to know everybody? It's weird.
I don't know. It's just. Happens.
Yeah, I'm skipping these clips. These are music clips. He's pointing out people have been using AI clips of Nasrallah singing various songs like "I Did It My Way" and stuff like that. So funny stuff. Just wanted to get to the reaction clip. So Washington Free Beacon Watch, Syrians celebrate reported death of Hezbollah head Hassan Nasrallah. Let's go ahead and check this out.
And that is that Syrians are celebrating. They are celebrating the death of Hassan Nasrallah. They are happy about it, and there is tons of video that's flooding social media. How Syrians are so happy, and they are praising. They are praising Netanyahu for being a great leader who has taken out their nemesis. And so I wanted you to see some of that. Let's see some of the people celebrating in Syria.
Look at that. You see that where they're handing out the sweets? That's a big thing. It's normally, oh, look, we killed a bunch of Jews, and then it'll be like in Gaza or something like that, and they're handing out sweets. Here, Nasrallah died, and they're handing it out. Wow, they didn't like that dude.
So these people are crowding, gathering together. Why? It's Syrians in the country's northwestern area celebrated in Syria in the streets, handed out candy following reports that Hassan Nasrallah has been killed by Israeli airstrike. Why? Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed military group,
he just did it. Hezbollah,
responsible.
He's trying to be like me
for fueling the brutal civil war in the country, propping up dictator Bashar al-Assad as he worked to crush the rebellion that has long threatened his grip on power. So, in short, what we're talking about here is that the folks in Syria are so thankful that this Israel hater, Syrian suppressor is gone. And they're thankful that Benjamin Netanyahu, and they showed it on the news behind me there, they showed a video of a Syrian blessing Abu Yair. Abu Yair means the father of Yair. That's how, that's the Arabic way of treating somebody, speaking somebody respect.
You guys catching this? They're sending messages of thanks.
It's to call him by the name. He is the father of his oldest son, so Yair Netanyahu. So this guy was blessing Abu Yair for destroying their destroyer, for liberating them. And this is something that I've said so often and so much and so important to understand, which is that Israel is a force of liberation around here. It's a force of liberation. And this should be said on every news magazine out there, on every video. Israel's a force of liberation. The Iranian regime is an oppressive regime. Hamas is an oppressive Iranian arm. Hezbollah is an oppressive Iranian arm. And when we get rid of them, when Israel gets rid of them, we bring freedom to the Middle East. And you saw it with your own eyes, and it's going to be shown more and more in social media that anti-Assad regime Syrians who have been, we're talking about a displacement of over 10 million people. We're talking about the death of approximately a million. They say 500,000 official numbers, but maybe a million in real numbers of Syrians have been killed by the Bashar al-Assad regime together with Hezbollah. And all those people out there in the world that are sad, like AOC and others who are sad that Nasrallah is dead today, they are on the side of oppression and not liberation.
Yeah. So, guys, again, this video's on the long end, but we got the main points there. There are tons of videos. There are tons of videos on TikTok of Arabs and so on, Lebanese, Syrians and so on, praising and celebrating the assassination of Nasrallah. I want to just use this clip because he was getting it from a news source. When you see something on Twitter, I don't trust it anymore until I don't trust it until I see it being verified by someone, because it's very easy to take a video of anyone celebrating and say, look, they're celebrating this, and then it turns out later they're celebrating something different. The clip's from 10 years ago or something like that. Anyway, that's why I want to use this clip, but mainly because he was giving the perspective from the synagogue. So he's given the Jewish perspective from the synagogue. We've heard from Lebanese Christians. We've heard from, we've seen Sunni Muslims celebrating. We've seen Shia Muslims condemning the attack in Australia. The only thing left is the Dawa wars, ladies and gentlemen, the Dawa wars.
However, before we get to that, let me quickly update you on the whole thing that we just mentioned.
The Germany thing?
That Dee gladly brought up, the Germany thing. I found the document actually of the law, and the law is already in place. It's not something in the future; it's already in place, and so it is a specific part of laws outlining what must be taken into consideration when giving somebody German citizenship. And it says in one of those articles, this is like 40 pages long. In one of the articles, it says, due to Germany's responsibility of the National Socialist reign of injustice and all of that, and our responsibility to prevent anti-Semitism from taking hold again here in this country, and so on.
Hey, wait, that's common sense, right? That's like, because, I mean, how insane was it? Germany's like, oh, we're so guilty over the Holocaust. We'll bring in millions of Muslims who don't like Jews. Like, wait, what? How is that how you atone? Like,
they say we
and then
Germany,
and then you end up with Jews like, we have to leave Germany and go to Israel because it's not safe for us. And it's like, what? Yeah. This is how you atone for the Holocaust, German leaders, you giant morons.
So they say we have a special responsibility toward Jews in Germany and around the world. And this responsibility includes rejecting any form of anti-Semitism, rejecting any forgetting, denial, trivialization of the Nazi genocide of the Jews of Europe, and recognizing the special and close relationships of the Federal Republic of Germany with the State of Israel, and so on. And then it lists certain things that will make you very likely to be, or that should make applicants ineligible for a citizenship, or that these should be taken into consideration. And it says denial of the fact or scale of the genocide against Jews in Europe by Nazi Germany and its supporters and collaborators during World War II, accusations against Jews or the State of Israel of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust, and 3, the following or similar statements. And then it lists a few examples: from the river to the sea, possibly with the addition Palestine will be free. Bomb Tel Aviv, Death, death to Israel. With soul and blood we will redeem you, Al-Aqsa, child murderers, Israel. And also the use of maps in which territory of the State of Israel and the Palestinian Authority is entirely filled with the colors of the Palestinian flag, black, red, white, green, and so on. These are just few examples. So it then continues, but this is law.
Can't say we didn't tell you guys. I mean, we told don't. You can't keep pushing the Germans, man. You can't.
And this is
keep
only
pushing the Germans.
one of the points that is brought up because of the current conflict. The law is also full of other articles that are about Islam, for example, if glorification of Islamic politics and promise to establish an Islamic state, glorification of caliphate, and things like that will all make you ineligible.
Interesting. All right. Take a couple super chats and then we'll just check out the Dawa Wars tweets. Just a little taste of the Dawa Wars that are emerging right now. Ann says, so Kamala and Biden want immunity for the UNRWA staff who participated in October 7th. What are your thoughts on that? Well, I don't know if that's correct. If it is, I think that's pretty insane and stupid and evil. And there's no way Israel would agree to it. And that's good. It's good if they say, look, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Go screw yourselves.
Well, I'm glad that Israel didn't really bother listening very much to what the current administration had.
Can you imagine Israel being like, oh, what does Kamala Harris think? Like what? Or what does that guy who can't utter like? And it's not just them. It's like, hey, we're here. This is what we have to deal with. You guys are on the opposite side of an ocean. You don't have to deal with this. So you can share your thoughts with us, but at the end of the day, we have to keep our own people safe.
It's funny. I never watch Saturday Night Live. I find it totally unfunny, except for some episodes and some acts, and the whole weekend review section, which I think is
weekend
good.
updates usually pretty good.
Yeah. But yesterday, I think they did a cold open for Kamala Harris rally and Donald Trump.
I think it was
Trump
a long one. It was like 12 minutes or something. Because I looked at it and I was like, no, I have to get ready for this show. I can't watch this now. But
I watched it. It was actually funny. They roasted Tim Walz. They roasted Joe Biden and made extensive fun of him for being an old creep. In the end, he goes to Kamala Harris's hair and starts sniffing and so on.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I like it. I like it when they make fun of everybody. As long as they make fun of everyone, I'm good. I don't like it when they're like, oh, we'll make fun of this one person and then we'll let this other person who's done insanely idiotic things just slide.
A long time ago, a few weeks ago maybe, I decided to sit down and watch an entire episode of Saturday Night Live with my wife together. And in the end, after we were done with it, I already started feeling very terrible after like 10 minutes or so of watching it. At the end of it, I thought, I wish I could just, delete this part of my life from my memory forever.
That's what they do. They have had some brilliant stuff, but yeah. Oh, a lot of crap on there. BBC has now stopped calling Hamas a terrorist organization. Oh, man. And here I had so much respect for the BBC. I was like, hey, I really like the BBC.
I was putting all my trust and my hope in the BBC. Why would they do this?
Dumb BBC. Whoever is celebrating, watch out. Oh, that's from Nasrallah. It's from your buddy Nasrallah. Michael says, as a U.S. OEF vet in 2002, I can tell you this. We did far worse things and sometimes laughed about it or shrugged it off.
Alhamdulillah.
Yep, that happens. Let's see. Salfa was the one asking questions earlier. So thanks for the responses, guys. Do you think that Iran is the final target in this conflict? And if so, do you think the USA will participate? That is a good possibility. I think Israel is going to handle things in southern Lebanon. And yes, I do believe they'll be turning their attention to Iran. They've already given the warning. There's nowhere to hide in Iran. They've shown they can actually go into Iran and assassinate someone. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if other places like the United States got involved. But I don't know that they would. But Iran is a constant problem for everyone. So we'll see what happens there. Why leftists and Islam are close? Is that normal? It's not normal in the sense of it. It's not normal in the sense of it making sense. It doesn't. They're diametrically opposed on a number of things, and leftists would be some of the first people brutally murdered in the name of Allah if Islamists took over. But it's a sort of common enemy. So it's similar to Israel. You'll have different groups that would normally kill each other uniting because they both hate Israel. You can have leftists and Islam uniting because they both are focused on a common enemy, and both thinking that after things are, after we take over, then our group will be dominant, and leftists actually thinking they could deal with Islam. Here's an extra super chat as a token of my appreciation for entertaining a dialogue with me. Yep. Good to hear from you, Safa. And answering LDS, do you think Muslim apologists are legitimately Muslim? The defenses of Dawa nowadays are straight up laughable. I've said before, I don't even know what the defenses of Dawa are nowadays. Now they're becoming like gossip channels and just whining and attacking each other all the time. I've made a prediction before. I want to actually put it in a video. So when it happens, I said, since they're basically giving up on arguments and they won't dare defend Muhammad or the Quran to someone unless the person is completely ignorant and doesn't know he's being lied to. Since they're giving up on arguments, it's not based on here's the evidence anymore or something like that. And my prediction is that in the future it's just gonna be a global gang. That's what it is. You're joining this for your safety, not because you think it's true or not because you think it's actually the truth about God or anything else. What's up?
This is so weird.
What are you laughing at this time? What?
Well, somebody mentioned in the chat said Christian Prince is correcting AP on his channel as we speak. So I went over what it is, and I see that he's watching our live stream that we are having right now.
Yep.
And is going from the beginning and commenting on it. And so what exactly the correction is about, and apparently he's
humiliating you.
He's correcting me because I said that Bashar al-Assad was oppressive toward his own population, including using chemical weapons. And he says, for example, that this is not true and he never did use chemical weapons. It turned out to be a lie.
So you've been humiliated.
I have to say one thing here. Now, first off, I didn't want it to get to this. I didn't want it to get to this.
Hey, don't be spreading your drama over here, man.
I didn't want to get to this. However, if you want to find out whether Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons or not, and what was and was not verified, please, I urge you, don't trust me at this point. Now you have two conflicting opinions. You have Christian Prince, whom lots of people I know, listen to it like, and you have me. I say, yes, he has used chemical weapons. Christian Prince apparently corrects me and says, no, this is not true. This is a media lie and all that. I will urge you to just do one thing if you don't know. Go and research it for yourself. And by research it for yourself, I don't mean go and disregard every official report there is and listen to the one or two people online who say, did you know the media is not telling you the truth? The reality is this, and actually lizard people were involved in spreading this lie. I'm telling you to go and look at official reports, official findings, evidence, and so on, and then figure out whether Bashar al-Assad indeed used chemical weapons or not. I'm not going to tell you anything at this point. Do that.
Don't be starting beef with everyone else on my channel, man. CP has enough beef going on right now.
And he can only blame himself for that, honestly.
Well, people like me, we just don't know. Did he use the weapons? Did we not? I don't know. You say one thing, CP says something else. The world may never know. Who's right?
Alhamdulillah.
Do you think all Islam is a problem or just radical Islam? I think Islam is radical by its nature, at least in forms where, they take these various hadiths and stuff seriously. You have to do some serious gymnastics to get an Islam that does not call for the violent subjugation of the entire world. There are people who do it. There are people who go in a really philosophical, direction and so on. But at the end of the day, Muhammad called for the subjugation of the world. Muhammad said, I've been commanded to fight people until they say there's no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. The Quran says, fight those who do not believe in Allah. The Quran calls Jews and Christians the worst of creatures. You can have you can have Muslims who believe in Allah and pray 5 times a day and don't take those other things seriously. It's just going to be an ongoing problem that there will be people who do take those commands seriously. So you could be the nicest Muslim in the world and you have kids and your kids read those and go, why isn't my dad following this? I need to follow this. And they go out and join a terrorist group and so on. So Islam in general is a problem. Notice I didn't say Muslims. You have Muslims who are completely nice and so on, but Islam is a problem.
Indeed.
AP, do you believe there is some sort of justice in the afterlife for someone like Hassan Nasrallah? Ooh.
I don't know.
You believe he just gets a free pass? Believe he just? Nope.
I think I find it difficult to believe that that there is, but I also don't know. So.
Let's see. Salfa here again. It's been reported that Israel is auctioning off Palestinian homes in the West Bank. Any idea on the credibility of this? First time I've heard it, so I wouldn't know.
Auctioning off Palestinian homes in the West Bank. They're not auctioning off Palestinian homes. What they are doing is vastly any land that is being bought or sold or anything like that are homes that are not found to be rightfully belonging to Palestinian Arab families and people. If in any situation it is found out that they are the legitimate owners of the place, then it is not given to anyone else. There have been multiple cases where where Palestinian Arab families brought the situation to court after their property was unjustly taken, as they claimed, or there were few instances of that. And in those cases, the court found that the families were right, and then their homes were restored. So nothing is being taken away by force. There are lots of layers involved here, which decide who actually owns and does not own a certain region. There are some places like the city of Hebron where the situation gets a little bit difficult because in places like that, in many situations, Palestinian Arab people basically became squatters in homes that originally belonged to Jewish families after the Jewish people were kicked out from Hebron, for example, which was a historically Jewish city, and took places over and then claimed that they are actually the owners, they are actually in charge of the place, and it always belonged to them. And then you go there and find out that it's not true, and so on. This is a very, very complicated issue. I don't think it's as easy as this to boil down to. The person we just watched, Yishai Fleischer, he is actually a representative of the Jewish community of Hebron. He has a lot to say about this, so I'm thinking of inviting him. I have been thinking about that forever, of inviting him and having this discussion with him as well. We'll see.
We shall see. And our favorite Christian from the Middle East, Eli Shamoun.
Hey, Eli, what's up?
Eli Copter. Eli Copter. Dor Daniel says, Yusuf Haddad, D Wood, AP collab win.
Good question.
Yeah, you know him, don't you?
I don't. I think I have his number again, but I never actually talked to him. I never communicated with him. I just know lots of people who know him and so on and so forth. It was, yeah. I might just do that.
Bis Deutschland über alles.
You can't say that in Germany, man. If you go to Germany and say that, people are going to look at you like.
I've told people before. I had a German professor, and I started going that, and my professor goes, "We don't joke like that. We don't joke like that." Leftists in any nation are those who hate their country, culture, and even willing to ally with jihadists to destroy their own culture. No, you can. I mean, It's good to have a conservative force in a society and a progressive force. Keep in mind, I'm not talking about conservatives and progressive. I'm talking about like a conservative force that's trying to preserve what works and what is good about your society, and to have a progressive force. Again, not talking about progressives. I'm talking about a force that is trying to make change and move forward and fix things that don't work and so on. We just live in a time where people are going off the deep end, massive
We live
deep
in a
end.
society. We live in a
Who
society.
says?
Well, I want to quickly mention the Hebron, since it came up. For those who go around thinking that the Jews were just, have been causing trouble and they are the ones who attacked this land and they occupiers and so on, and it started in 1948 when Israel became an oppressor and so on, just look up one thing, which is the 1929 Hebron massacre. 1929 Hebron massacre. It was
There was no such massacre because that was before 1947. AP, come on.
where the Arab population spread rumors that the Jews are trying to take over the Temple Mount and so on. All kinds of different rumors. Again, based on rumors, they mobilized and started attacking, massacring, and kicking out the Jewish population in Hebron. Killed, I think, nearly 100 people or so, and kicked most of the others out. Some of them were allowed to return later on. Eventually, they all had to basically flee. And the Arabs then took over the entire place. No Jews left in the end. They took over the entire place. This was long before 1948. Long before. It's because one side wanted to coexist. The other side did not. And the side that wanted to coexist was the Jewish side. That's a fact.
And if you want to know why the other side didn't want to coexist, I suggest you read what Muhammad said about the Jews.
Yes.
Let's see. Who's here says, D. Wood, Nuka lesson is best heard from Musab, his video at University of Michigan. Oh, Musab Hassan Yusuf. His video at the University of Michigan runs 2 minutes, starting at 56 for a powerful message, gives you goosebumps. I don't get goosebumps much, but I will screenshot that and check it out because we do like Musab Hassan Yusuf. And let's see, last one here, and then we'll check out just the Dawa War. So we're about to go into the just a couple tweets for the Dawa Wars to show you where things are going. Nasrallah was part of my Fetty Wap tribute a cappella group. Now I have to find another soprano. Thanks, Jews. I don't think you're going to have a lot of trouble finding sopranos because a lot of people had their balls blown off, but they're still alive. So Ayatollah. Plenty of sopranos out there. All right, now we'll just we'll check out the Dawa Wars, and then we will close things out. What do we have first of all? We have Mohammed Hijab, AP's hero. Mohammed Hijab. Notice he said this right after the assassination, so September 27th. No matter what anyone says, we will not forget. That was the 27th, right? He was assassinated on the 27th?
Yeah.
Okay. No matter what anyone says, we will not forget what Hezbollah did to the Syrians with our ally Bashar.
You see?
And then Musa says, wait, are you siding with Israel in the bombing of Beirut? You must be kidding me. Mohammed Hijab says, I side with Hezbollah against Israel and with the Syrians against Hezbollah. Yeah. So, if Hezbollah is attacking Israel, he sides with Hezbollah. But he wants Hezbollah killed because of what they did to Syrians. So he wants Hezbollah to be destroyed unless they're killing Jews. Brilliant stuff. So anyway, he gives the different perspectives, right? Because what you'll find is lots of Muslims are focusing on one or the other. Mohammed Hijab is actually saying no, both. It's not either or. So in other words, do you side with Hezbollah because they're attacking Israel? Or do you side against Hezbollah because of what they did to Sunni Muslims? And so you have lots of Muslims who are complaining about the assassination of Nasrallah, and you have some who are celebrating it, and it's because they're either focusing on, hey, this guy kills Sunnis, he needs to be destroyed, or they're going, oh, but he's attacking Israel, he's our hero. And so hijab is saying, no, both is fine. Both are fine. You do both. I can say, hey, great job killing Jews, but terrible job killing you because you're killing Sunnis. All right, so that's hijab's. Hijab's perspective is he's simultaneously for and against Hezbollah, but for different reasons. But then you have other Muslims who are different. So here's Daniel Hakikachu, world's leading defender of child marriage. And that's some great feat. Daniel Hakikachu says, Southern Lebanon. Oh, by the way, Daniel has a ton of tweets on this. I just picked out a couple. I just grabbed a couple. But he's got a bunch of those. Daniel Hakikachu says, Southern Lebanon is the break, blocking Israeli expansion into Syria and the capture of Damascus. You catch this, AP?
Yeah.
Daniel is saying that Israel wants to conquer Lebanon, go into Syria, capture Damascus. He still believes that Israel wants to take over the world.
Oh my God!
Because he's a moron. But what the funny part is that's what they want to do, right? They want to take over the world, take over everything, and they lose their minds whenever anyone else has anything. And so they project that onto Israel. Israel was, oh, look at this. Oh, if Hezbollah collapses, what's going on? Israel's just going to move up and take over Lebanon and then take over Syria. That's what they're going to do, the Jews. What a freaking joke, man. Anyway, so Southern Lebanon is the break, blocking Israeli expansion into Syria and the capture of Damascus. Israel's planned invasion and annexation. They're going to annex it. They're not going to hold on to it. They're not going to hold on to it until they get a deal to stop Hezbollah from firing rockets at them. No, they're going to annex southern Lebanon, and this endangers Syrians more than any other people on earth. Meanwhile, many who claim to care about Syrians are celebrating Israel's invasion rather than contemplating the actual implications of what is unfolding before their eyes. So according to Daniel, which is true, there are Muslims who are going, yes, it's good that Nasrallah has been killed because of what he did. And according to Daniel, they don't realize that Israel is about to invade, and they're going to take over southern Lebanon, and they're going to use this to take over all of Lebanon. They're going to use this to go up into Syria and take over because they really want Damascus. That's what they want. What is unfolding?
I wish Israel actually had the ambition to conquer the whole place, to the Middle East, and I wish they actually did it.
They would do, I have to say, they'd do a better job than the leaders who are there now. Who exactly is going to prevent Israel from ethnically cleansing Syrians from the rest of Syria, as they have already cleansed them from the Golan Heights, i.e. the 100,000 Syrians expelled by Israel in 1967? Can anyone answer this basic question? Who is going to stop Israel from coming up and taking the pile of rubble that is Syria and ethnically cleansing it? This is one of the most popular da'is on the planet, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't even begin to take this seriously. This guy's so dumb.
Yeah, and we're not. We don't even need to offer commentary on this.
What a complete imbecile.
Giant moron. But he's not done. And here he was commenting on Visegrad. Syrian suffering in the civil war. Syrian suffering in the civil war has now become a key theme in Israeli war propaganda. Famous Zionist anti-Muslim social media accounts on Twitter are now mass circulating pictures and video of Syrians expressing their love for Israel and are thanking Israel for its campaign in Lebanon. Should we accuse Syrian Sunnis of spitting on Gaza and the Palestinians, or should we recognize that Israel is using a media operation to inflame sectarian conflict to demoralize and weaken Muslim opposition? So
you see this, right? You see this, right? This is again. So Muslims themselves are doing something, but geniuses like this, and I've seen others say something similar. Geniuses like this, instead of acknowledging what the Muslims themselves are doing and then criticizing that, right? I don't think it should be criticized. He thinks, of course, it should be criticized. Instead of criticizing them and correcting them and saying, no, you shouldn't be celebrating for Israel. What are you doing? Israel is the enemy. They're like, oh, no, our fellow Muslims, of course, they are stupid. They are retarded. They don't have any agency. They can't think for themselves. They can't express their own feelings. It's, of course, Israel that makes them do this. And Israel exploits their celebrations and does this. It's Israel. It's the Jews.
Yeah.
We Muslims, we don't think for ourselves. That's basically what he's saying here.
So again, he's quote tweeting a video by Visegrad where Muslims are celebrating the death of Nasrallah. Why? Because Nasrallah has killed lots of Muslims, and he's a puppet of he was a puppet of the Ayatollah and so on. So Sunnis didn't like him, responsible for tons and tons of Sunni deaths. And so they say, wow, this guy who killed tons and tons of people and has been doing so for decades, he's dead. Good. And you see, this is the Jews. The Jews are using this. And so again, that last little paragraph there. Should we accuse Syrian Sunnis of spitting on Gaza and the Palestinians, or should we recognize that Israel is using a media operation to inflame sectarian conflict to demoralize and weaken Muslim opposition? So he's saying Israel is using a media operation to inflame sectarian conflict. In other words, get Muslims fighting amongst themselves to demoralize and weaken Muslim opposition. So if you get Muslims, in other words, if you get Muslims on your side and cheering for you, then you're weakening the Muslim opposition to Israel. And guess what? If Israel's goal was to divide the Ummah and get them fighting amongst themselves, great job. Because here is a response from Jake Brancatella, and correct me if I'm wrong, AP, wasn't Jake Daniel's debate partner?
He was meant to be, yeah.
No, so they were supposed to tag team, but they did on what's that? That Assyrian guy. PBD. They were on PBD. They were partners.
Oh, yeah. They went there together.
So they were debate partners on PBD. And then they were supposed to be debate partners again on Fresh and Fit versus Sam and Jay. Jake backed out at the last second and was replaced. And here's him responding to Daniel Hakikachu. He says, just look at the comments on my recent posts criticizing. So again, Jake also, like Daniel, there are way more posts on this. I don't want to read 30 tweets, so I just want to give everyone a quick example. Jake says, just look at the comments on my recent posts criticizing Daniel Hakikachu for his insane takes on the party of Shaitan and its kafir leader who was killed. The party of Shaitan. He's talking about Shias here. And its kafir leader. He's calling Nasrallah a kafir who was killed. The comments reflect the dangerous message he has been preaching. Hakikachu. Are there any Daniel Hakikachu trolls left? Please comment below so I can block you too. So this is a Sunni Muslim telling all of his Sunni fans that if anyone supports devout Sunni Muslim Daniel Hakikachu in what he's saying, he's just going to instantly block them. Bravo, Israel. Bravo for causing this division in the Ummah. Guys, this is not Sunni versus Shia. This is Sunni versus Sunni. Matter of fact, we saw it when we were talking about it on AP's channel where he was breaking down the differences of opinion on Hezbollah. That you have overwhelming support among Shia Muslims, but Sunni support is actually divided. And here you see it. You have Sunni Muslims going in different directions. One more tweet from Jake here. Just look at the harshness of the words. Criticizing Daniel Hakikachu for his insane takes on the party of Shaitan. Daniel supporting the party of Shaitan and its kafir leader. Daniel is siding with the kuffar and the party of Shaitan. And anyone who supports Daniel will now be blocked. This is his debate partner, guys. And so Daniel Hakikachu. So let's see. I don't know what this is about. Let's read Daniel's tweet right here. Interesting thread on how Western intelligence agencies produce and distribute footage of Syrians dancing for joy on social media to advance U.S. and Israeli policies. So as far as Syrian Muslims, these would be largely Sunnis who really, really, really hate the Shias for killing so many Sunnis and for suppressing their resistance. So Daniel is pointing out, this is all just Western, this is, guys, this is Western intelligence agencies. This is the FBI. Guys, it's the FBI, the CIA, more likely. It's the CIA and the Department of Homeland Security. These are the guys who are producing and distributing footage of Syrians who are celebrating the death of Nasrallah. So it's not just some guy recording something on his phone and posting it on TikTok or posting it on Twitter. No, it's the CIA and Mossad. They're the ones who are doing it. So that's Daniel Hakikachu's. Has Daniel ever interpreted anything without a conspiracy? I can't think of anything that wasn't a conspiracy for him.
He's legitimately insane, man. He's legitimately insane sounding.
I have to say, I mean, he sounds exactly like Syrian Girl, right? So Daniel Hakikachu is, if Syrian Girl was a man who constantly defended pedophiles, if Syrian Girl became transgendered and became a man and wanted to focus the entire career on defending pedophilia, that would be Daniel Hakikachu. So Daniel Hakikachu here, what?
I must say that Syrian Girl is dumber than Daniel Hakikachu, much more, much dumber. So
I'm talking about I'm talking about on the insane conspiracy nonsense. I think they're about equal, but yeah, Daniel's smarter.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And so Jake responds to this. By saying Daniel Hakikachu is now quote tweeting this scumbag propagandist who tried to paint the Syrians as fabricating the horrors they suffered at the hands of Assad and the party of Shaitan. The downward spiral is at a rapid pace. Downward spiral of what? Downward spiral of Daniel Hakikachu, his debate partner. So Daniel shares a tweet from someone that, according to Jake, this person tried to claim that the Syrians were fabricating the things they suffered. And so he's responding to him that Daniel is caught in this horrible, horrible, horrible downward spiral. And it's a rapid pace. This is his debate partner. These guys worked together. And now these guys are probably ready to declare each other apostates and murder each other if they ever get the chance. Jake will soon be saying, yeah, show up in Morocco and see what happens to you. Show up in Morocco and see what happens to you. You won't say that around here. This is absolutely bonkers, ladies and gentlemen. The Dawa Wars. The Dawa Wars
continue. The funny thing is that it has to get to these disagreements and these fights for them to realize that that one of them is totally insane. He calls it a downward spiral. Daniel Hakikachu was always insane like that.
Hey, your thing's like blinking constantly now. What is that?
I know.
Man, get a new camera. Hey, can everyone fund AP so he can get a? Oh, you're saying it's your computer, not your camera?
It's not my camera. It's my laptop. I need to get a new one or just clean it up or something.
How old is your laptop?
I don't know. Several years. I don't know.
Okay, here.
Many years.
AP, you have lots of people who like to watch you and who don't like it when you have crappy equipment because it's pretty much you have to have good equipment. So it's pretty simple. What you do is you say, here's the computer I want, or here's the equipment I want, and here's what it costs. And I'm putting up a GoFundMe, and please support it. And then I'll just buy my computer so I don't look like I'm live streaming on dial-up internet from 1989. I don't even know if there was.
I'm using my fridge to stream this.
He's using his microwave, ladies and gentlemen, to live stream.
Yeah, that's what I do. Or I'll just ask my Mossad handlers. I'll see what they say. Yeah.
Take these last couple super chats, and it will be out, ladies and gentlemen. How's USA doing concerning Islam? Do you see U.S. following Europe on Islamization, or better equipped to fend it off? Massively better equipped to fend it off. You still have issues over here, and you still have areas that are pretty rough, but it's basically over here. Islam makes up roughly 1% of the population, and as that, as the number of Muslim, the rate at which the number of Muslims is increasing is basically on par with the rate at which the population is increasing. In other words, you do have an increase in the number of Muslims, but their percentage isn't basically changing because the number of people in the entire country is growing. And so one of the good things about being in the U.S. is we will be watching what happens in France and the UK. And it will make it much easier for people in the future to go, you seriously not getting this? So bottom line is, whatever happens with Islam in Western nations, it's happening in Europe first. And that allows America to see what's happening and to pay attention. But the U.S. is under no imminent danger of being Islamized or anything like that. I mean, the closest you get is a bunch of extreme leftists bending over backwards to praise Islam in all kinds of ways.
Why do they bend over backwards, not just forwards?
I don't know, because they're dumb. Let's see. We have Chakota here. Oh, no comment. We have Issa again. He is totally fine being an imperialist, not me. Who was that? Who was that about? Who was that? I don't know. He left this comment earlier, but I don't remember what we're talking about. Who are we talking about? Imperialist.
Probably me.
Probably you. You are. That does fit. And let's see. Australia government granted 3,000 tourist visas to Gazans. Well, that can only be great. Turn out great. Israel's promised land is the whole world, and they're strong enough. Genesis 18:18.
They should take the whole world.
Israel is strong enough to promise land to take over the entire world. No, they're going to be a blessing to the entire world, not conquer the entire world.
They should conquer the entire world.
AP, how come you're not a believer? Never heard that question before. I'm a former atheist, had a near-death experience, became an atheist, and started researching science, history, accounts, archaeology, etc. Do you believe in the resurrection is valid? I think he meant I became a theist, because he said former atheist, had a near-death experience. Looks like he meant I became a theist and started researching science, history, accounts, archaeology, etc. Do you not believe the resurrection is valid? I'm guessing AP doesn't believe the resurrection is valid, since he's not a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim.
At this point, I don't take any opinion on that.
Yeah, which part of agnostic wasn't clear? He doesn't know.
It's wait, what was that? NDE. So personal experiences are very, very effective for the person who experiences them.
For the person, that is true.
And there is probably no better argument or no better reason to convince somebody to believe in something than a very significant, a very dramatic personal experience. You could present all of the arguments in the world, they could all fail. A personal experience could change everything very quickly. I'm totally aware of that. I didn't have it, and when it comes to the historical aspects and the things that are used in general to convince others or to establish that theism or Christianity or whatever you want to call it is true, I simply haven't gotten to the point of being convinced yet. That's all I can say about it. That's where I am.
And that is an interesting point. I've kind of mentioned it before, like when people are asking me, if you say, David, what arguments are there for the existence of God? I can give you arguments for the existence of God. But when it's David Wood, why are you a Christian? Well, my personal experience plays a huge role. And someone could find that relevant. Someone could say, wow, guy's a total psychopath. He's in jail. He's in mental hospitals and so on. And now he's the best guy on the internet. So someone could, but there is something very different about having the experience yourself and not. So in other words, as far as why I'm a Christian, well, my experience in that jail cell when I converted, that arguments played a role, but that also played a huge role. I can tell you what happened, but it's not the same for someone hearing it. And so just imagine, you could have an experience where, God appears to you and tells you something and there are Muslims who convert based on this. They'll see like a vision of Jesus or something like that, telling them to convert. Nabil had dreams and visions, and he could tell them, and you could say, wow, that's really interesting. But at the end of the day, it's not as persuasive to someone else as it would be to you. I grant that personal experiences can play a role. Like I mentioned before, when Nabil had his first dream, I didn't think much of anything of it. It was, okay, I wouldn't take a dream seriously if I had a dream saying convert to Islam or something like that. So there was nothing special about it that suggested to me that it was anything other than a dream. When he had his second dream, all of a sudden he dreamed himself into a parable that he had never read before. And he's asking me, this is my dream. I'm like, dude, that's straight out of the Gospel of Luke. Like, I haven't read Luke yet. Dude, it's right out of there. So for me, then that was interesting. And it's similar with near-death experiences. There are lots of, I think it's like a third of people go into cardiac arrest and come out of it have a near-death experience. There are lots of people who are just, I saw a light, I went through a tunnel, and then I saw my life flash before my eyes or something like that. There are lots of stories like that another person can kind of explain it and go, how do I know your brain's not just doing weird things because it's shutting down in various ways and so on. But there are another class of them where the person knows something that he shouldn't know, or he's brain dead, but he wakes up and tells people what they were saying in the room, or he was looking down at them or something like that. So anyway, these things can count as evidence. Bottom line is, no matter how weird they are, they'll never be as persuasive to another person as they are to the person who experiences them. So you want to pray for AP, pray that he has some sort of near-death experience, and therefore that'll require that he goes into cardiac arrest. What? Trying to help you out, dude.
What a messed up thing.
What's wrong with you? Focusing on your salvation, dang it.
That took a funny turn. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either until it just... You have AD here with last two. AD says, AP, get logos for Mrs. AP. Literally a library.
I actually got it for myself. So that's
you grabbed logos?
Yeah.
Hey, you guys can both use that. They have a husband and wife thing. Like if you get an account, your spouse, if one partner gets it, the other partner can have it too. So that's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
And last one here. Now you're frozen with your crap computer. Guys, AP, I'm hoping we'll put up a GoFundMe or something in the next couple of days for a new laptop. He has a Stone Age crap laptop. He has a fine camera, and you see what his stupid laptop does. It seems to do it after we've been live for a few hours. That's when it starts to...
Yeah, it's getting overwhelmed. I don't know. It's just... It wasn't like this.
Guys, can we get AP some new equipment? Set it up, AP. I bet you all your... If you put up a GoFundMe, you mention it, and I share it, and everyone is on board, I'm pretty sure you will have your laptop covered in one single little night. And then let's see here. As a former Israeli, I was seeing all these things about Islam 15 years ago pretty clearly, and I am in awe how Americans are just finding out now. I'm shocked at how the entire world, like everything that's happening right now is stuff that people like me and Robert, Spencer, and a bunch of others were saying back in 2006 and 2007. Guys, this is what this ideology calls for. This is what the history has shown. This is exactly what's going to happen 15, 20 years from now. And exactly what we said was going to happen is happening. And it's just amazing because we're still somehow bigots for being right about everything. And finally, Eli again. Hey, Eli says the belief in God is a given and should not be questioned because the belief that we came from nothing is beyond delusional. That is true. Eli is right. Fortunately, AP does not cling to the belief that we came from nothing. But Eli is saying that should not be even an option, and belief in God should be assumed as a foundational.
That's based.
So in your face. I guess we'll cut it off here since AP.
Do you still hear me? At least
I hear you fine. I hear you fine. Okay. You're just you've just turned out your lights.
That's funny.
All right, guys. Well, AP's computer no longer works, and we've gone through everything. I'm sure there's going to be more stuff coming up with Lebanon, possible invasion of southern Lebanon. I would like Lebanon to take some steps before that becomes necessary, but that could happen literally any moment. It could be happening right now. Who knows? But Israel, it doesn't seem like Israel's taking much crap anymore from anyone. And it looks like they're sick of being condemned for anything they do, no matter what it is. And they're just saying, fine, we're just going to deal with all this stuff now. So I'm sure there's going to be more stuff to cover as events unfold. We'll be back for more when these things happen. And what we look forward to is the Dawa collapsing and jihadis getting shut down. Catch y'all next time.